everybody stand for the national anthem, please? Good night once again, Carbins Road, Ashton Hall, and the surrounding areas. Tonight, my name is Katasha Nicholas, and I'm going to be your co-host along with Shamar Linton. And we've come to have some very frank conversations about why we support the Barbados Labour Party and why we support, hopefully, your next representative for St. James North, Chad Blackman. And the reason for us throwing our support behind Chad is really quite simple. We in the Barbados Labour Party believe that our goal should be making a better day and a better tomorrow for our people. Representation matters because it is more than providing lip service. Your elected officials have to come to you and tell you what plans they have for you and show you what work they have done. And tonight, we have a phenomenal lineup of young people who will tell you what this Barbados Labour Party has been doing, how it has been working on your behalf, and you're going to see the vision, feel the vibes, but most importantly, you're going to find out the types of development opportunities that we have created, and you're going to hear the results. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage our first speaker, Shakim Jordan. Now, Shakim is a university student who is studying business analytics and management. He also works for Export Barbados, but quite frankly, he would like to be known as a community guy, as that is who he is at his core. Join me once again by welcoming Shakim Jordan.
Good night, St. James North. Good night, good night, good night. I come all the way from St. John to speak to you all tonight about a good man, a great man really, a man I hold dear to my heart for a variety of reasons, a man I grew to know throughout the years that really has the youth at heart, and really and truly, St. James North, he fell in love with you from the first day he really hit the ground here. Now, unlike Andrea, I come from St. John with substance. I come with a message, a very clear one, as to why Chad Blackman is the best choice, well, really and truly the only choice for you here in St. James North, and equally why this Mia Motley-led administration is the best choice for Barbados. Now, I know Chad well enough to know that he speaks 5 languages. I know him well enough to know that he loves a rum and coke, but ultimately we can't enjoy that right now. We put water until the campaign over, right? Just like him, we have similarities. The first one being that he like to wear shirts that got a hump in front. So do I right now, and that's just a temporary something. But I want you all to join Chad. I want all y'all in St. James North to join Chad on his journey. Not only his journey into representational politics, but ultimately his journey and health, because health is wealth ultimately. Now, Charles Amat sees potential in everything and everyone. And I am not here opening the baton, so to speak, for my colleagues that will come before me, and maybe that will come after me, sorry. Because Chad is the first person that really gave me an opportunity to speak on the Barbados Labour Party platform. And that's something that I am forever indebted to him for, and forever grateful. So when I got the call to come here, before even a thought, it was yes. And they just had to make it happen regardless. Now, I want y'all to know his colleagues in Parliament know him so well in the short period of time that they have to work with him in Cabinet to understand that youth and the development of this country is at the center in everything he do. And every decision-making thing he has to do as well. In his maiden speech in Rockdondo, you heard his plans at establishing the cooperatives for the farmers in the constituency. And listen, Chad, my phone is start ringing saints. People want to know when they come in. Which community in St. James North would it be first launching if all of them would do at the same time? The young people are very excited. And being here in Carbons Road, even just coming out here not too long ago with a couple of my friends, we recognize that this is part of the agricultural belt in St. James North. And that's very important. Agriculture is important to you. So Chad recognized that not only in Carbons Road, but other areas in St. James North, that they have people like you that have the passion and have the green thumb. That is important. And that also attributes to the fact that when he said he's going to do the farmers market. Now, the fact that
Thank you. Good night once again, Carbons Road, Ashton Hall, and the surrounding areas. Tonight, my name is Katasha Nicholas, and I'm going to be your co-host along with Shamar Linton. And we've come to have some very frank conversations about why we support the Barbados Labour Party and why we support, hopefully, your next representative for St. James North, Chad Blackman. And the reason for us throwing our support behind Chad is really quite simple. We in the Barbados Labour Party believe that our goal should be making a better day and a better tomorrow for our people. Representation matters because it is more than providing lip service. Your elected officials have to come to you and tell you what plans they have for you and show you what work they have done. And tonight, we have a phenomenal lineup of young people who will tell you what this Barbados Labour Party has been doing, how it has been working on your behalf, and you're going to see the vision, feel the vibes, but most importantly, you're going to find out the types of development opportunities that we have created, and you're going to hear the results. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage our first speaker, Shakim Jordan. Now, Shakim is a university student who is studying business analytics and management. He also works for Export Barbados. But quite frankly, he would like to be known as a community guy, as that is who he is at his core. Join me once again by welcoming Shakim Jordan.
Good night, St. James North. Good night, good night, good night. I come all the way from St. John to speak to you all tonight about a good man, a great man really, a man I hold dear to my heart for a variety of reasons, a man I grew to know throughout the years that really has the youth at heart, and really and truly, St. James North, he fell in love with you from the first day he really hit the ground here. Now, unlike Andrea, I come from St. John with substance. I come with a message, a very clear one, as to why Chad Blackman is the best choice, or really and truly the only choice for you here in St. James North, and equally why this Mia Motley-led administration is the best choice for Barbados. Now, I know Chad well enough to know that he speaks 5 languages. I know him well enough to know that he loves a rum and coke, but ultimately we can't enjoy that right now. We pour water until the campaign over, right? Just like him, we have similarities. The first one being that he like to wear shirts that got a hump in front. So do I right now, and that's just a temporary something. But I want you all to join Chad. I want all y'all in St. James North to join Chad on his journey. Not only his journey into representational politics, but ultimately his journey in health. Because health is wealth ultimately. Now, Charles Amat sees potential in everything and everyone. And I am not here opening the baton, so to speak, for my colleagues that will come before me, maybe that will come after me, sorry. Because Chad is the first person that really gave me an opportunity to speak on a Barbados Labour Party platform. And that's something that I am forever indebted to him for and forever grateful. So when I got the call to come here, before even a thought, it was yes. And they just had to make it happen regardless. Now, I want y'all to know his colleagues in Parliament know him so well in the short period of time that they have to work with him in Cabinet to understand that youth and the development of this country is at the center in everything he do. And every decision-making thing he has to do as well. In his maiden speech in Rockdondo, you heard his plans to establishing the cooperatives for the farmers in the constituency. And listen, Chad, my phone is start ringing saints. People want to know when they come in. Which community in St. James North would it be first launching? If all of them would do at the same time. The young people are very excited. And being here in Carbons Road, even just coming out here not too long ago with a couple of my friends, we recognize that this is part of the agricultural belt in St. James North. And that's very important. Agriculture is important to you. So Chad recognized that not only in Carbons Road, but other areas in St. James North, that they have people like you that have the passion and have the green thumb. That is important. And that also attributes to the fact that when he said he's going to do the farmers market. Now, the fact that not only would Carbons Road contribute to the supply of the produce in the farmers market, that would then empower and enfranchise those persons that are selling not only the arts, the crafts, the produce, and whatever it may be. It would enfranchise St. James North by extension. Now, St. James North, really truly, he didn't just stop there by saying he's going to do the farming initiative. He didn't stop there when he said he's going to do the farmers market. He didn't stop there when he said he's going to develop an app for the communities. From the time he launched the tech hub at Gardner Greenwich, you should see the excitement on the children's faces. The children never want to leave. They're just so excited at the fact that they're experiencing the fact what robotics, coding, and what all of this could bring for Barbados. Now, I want y'all to understand that really and truly the only thing I heard from the other side, or the only recommendation, is that Ms. Dujon recognized in Sand Hills she would just put a solar light. And the fact that the Deputy Prime Minister had already had that on the cards for you because of the previous representation you guys had. Only recognized with the Barbados Party isn't just a one-time something. Edmund Hinkson, I think we should give him a round of applause for his representation, not only for you in St. James North, not only for Barbados, but for people generally throughout the Caribbean. That's something that we should really clap about. Another thing too, coming from St. John, you know, is a granny's boy at heart as well. My grandmother always used to tell me, actually she still does, "Shot, you know what you got, but you don't know what you can get." But granny, you may actually be wrong on this one. Because the people in St. James North know what they got in Chad. And they know what they can get with it too. Like how you guys know what you got in the Barbados Labour Party. And what else you all can expect with the Barbados Labour Party as well. One to understand, Barbados has always bounced back whenever the Barbados Labour Party is in power. Barbados has always been better, safer, once the Barbados Labour Party is at the helm. Now, I want you to recognize we ain't just a party that gives you promises. We are a party that keeps our promises as well. Now, in the 2018 manifesto, the team at that time recognized that entrepreneurship was our all-time low because in the last decades, there was a lot of lows, a lot of downgrades. And the Prime Minister and her team, they recognized that you shouldn't just give a man a fish, but you should teach you how to fish as well. And that is where the idea of the trust loans came about. Now, the trust loans is unsecured loans from $5,000 and it goes up to $10,000. In the first instance, it's 5, and the second is 10,000, and they're given out to legitimate businesses. Where then your family doesn't necessarily need to put up any sureties or any securities for you to access this loan. Now, that means for you, the good people in St. James North, that the Neotech could at least build a little sample inside the house. The barber man could then buy more equipment and stuff like that. And funny enough, in speaking to my barber this morning, he allowed me to know that he had access and benefited tremendously from the same trust loans. And the trust loans not only benefited him, but it benefited over 5,000 applicants thus far, with a valuation over $26 million. Now, that's something that you should actually have a little clap about as well. The government continues to train and develop these young people, not only in personal development, but in financial literacy as well. Because it's one thing to give you the money, but it's another for you to know what to spend it on, how to budget, and how to manage it well. Further to that, the government, well, not this administration, but it was under Owen after-led administration, that we had developed the Fund Access. Fund Access then is for those businesses that already got their feet wet, so to speak, in the game. And it gives them the opportunity to get loans up to $150,000. Where then they could upskill not only the products and services, but their operations as well. In the budget this year, from the Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Rand Strawn, this government, in their wisdom, had removed the duties and the taxes on commercial kitchen equipment for registered restaurants and cut shops. Now, this, in my opinion, I know I said that, is one of the best initiatives that was launched in this budget that was presented in this year. Reason being, similar to what the ethos of the Barbados Labour Party is a better life for our people. Now, for any time that I heard that, and I continue, as Katasha said, I'm a community man, when I walk around and I ask certain people how would they utilize or how would they benefit from this, they say, "Shop, we will benefit from it greatly." Because when they have the necessary equipment, especially kitchen equipment in their operation, that gives them the competitive edge to at least contribute greatly, not only to the hospitality sector in Barbados, but ultimately assist the government in their efforts, or their endeavors rather, in producing and creating more or fostering a community-oriented tourism. So people, tonight we the youth for the Barbados Labour Party are asking you to vote for Chad Blackman. It's as simple as that. Because the vote for Chad and the vote for the Barbados Labour Party represents a secure future. And if you are still deciding how to cast your vote come May the 21st, by tonight, those coming after me will make the decision very clear. Because like persons like Chad, by having us as the young people of the party come and share with you the initiatives this government has brought, not only from 2018, but onward. It shows you that we have a secure future. So come the 21st of May, get up, get out, and vote. Vote for the big man with a big plan and a big vision. Vote for Child Blackman. Thank you very much.
We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Child Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion.
Good night, good night, good night. I want to say a special good night to Clark's Gap, Millionaire Road, Reservoir Road, and the Zone. Because as we can see tonight, the youth of the Barbados Labour Party, we are in the zone tonight. I see one of my friends there in the crowd. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out. So tonight, I want to start off by thanking Shakim for his opening of the baton. As you can see on the placard that went out, sorry. You can see a lot of young people will be speaking here tonight on this platform, dynamic speakers. I'm not going to tell you all who is coming, but you will hear dynamic speakers tonight. So first, I want to reiterate some of the points that Shakim would have made while standing up here. As he spoke about fund access, as he spoke about the trust loans, as he spoke about various initiatives that would assist the young people of Barbados. These initiatives will not only assist the young people, it will assist all of the people of the constituency of St. James North. So I want to thank him for starting off with those initiatives. He also asks that on May 21st, hearing what Child Blackman has to offer, that you, the people of St. James North, along with the youth, go to the polls between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and cast your votes for Child Blackman. It's too often I have heard young people talking about how they do not have space, talking about how there are no initiatives or plans for them. But we can see here with the plans that Chad has to roll out, because he is not only promising these plans, he will implement every single one of them. I want to go back to the night of April the 24th. The Prime Minister in her press conference at the headquarters of the BLP, also at Gordon Greenwich Primary, she would have stated that it was a unanimous decision by the National Council to put Chad in place as the candidate for St. James North. But I also want to add that within that room, there were several young people at the decision-making table. And I want you to know that young people have a place here in this Barbados Labour Party from the ground directly up, where we are not just on the side, but we are also in the room making the decision, adding our voice to the decision. And I am sure that the young people who would have added their voices understood that they were putting their support behind a man in Chad Blackman that is full of integrity, vigor, and ready to work. Similarly, we have somebody else coming to the stage who is of service, who is ready to work, who has walked amongst Chad and the League and the constituency, who is ready to support young people and empower young people. So I want you to join with me in welcoming Miss Kiara Boyce to the stage. Oh, prior to Kiara coming up, I'm going to ask the drivers of MB 1628 and MC 3163 to kindly move your vehicles. Thank you. Kiara.
We going big. man, big
Good
heart.
evening, St. James North. Good evening, St. James North. All right. Now I cannot tell you how excited I am to be able to stand here tonight to address you in this forum. From the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come into your neighborhood. Thank you for opening your doors and allowing us to come into your homes. Thank you for opening your hearts and allowing us to listen to you. And even at times, thank you for opening your arms to me and my canvassing teams and to our candidate, Mr. Chad Blackman. A special thank you to the kind people of Ashton Hall, Carbons, where we are now, Graves Road, Millionaire Road down below, and everyone else in St. James North who can hear me and those watching online. Your warmth, your receptiveness, it doesn't go unnoticed. It means the world to us. It means the world to our party, and it shows the true spirit of St. James North. Now, tonight, I want to speak to you about a man. And not just any man, hardworking, dedicated, committed. These are not just words in our campaign song, but it is a true reflection of who Chad Blackman is. Chad Blackman is a name known to many of you, but I want the opportunity to share the Chad Blackman that I know. I first met Chad at a branch meeting in St. John. We were on a panel together, and my role on that evening was to speak about youth in politics. And after I was finished, Chad came up to me. He congratulated me on a speech well done, but he also gave me some tips on how to improve my delivery going forward if I was ever asked to speak at a branch meeting or a spot meeting like this one. And that is the Chad that I know. Always ready to uplift others, always willing to mentor, always there. Chad gave me his number on that evening, as he does everybody that he comes into contact with. And that is how our mentor and mentee relationship began. Chad has always been a guiding hand to the youth of our party and a big brother who wants to see us all succeed. I had the honor of witnessing Chad's work at the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, where he was able to build meaningful relationships, which was able to bring benefits to all Barbadians, including the people of St. James North. I was then able to witness his fantastic work in the Ministry of Educational Transformation, though short, where he ensured that our children had the secure educational facilities so that they could learn, and we could rest assured that the next generation of Barbadians would be just as bright and intelligent as we currently are. Chad is much more than just a public servant. Chad is a man who believes in the future of Barbados, a forward-thinking gentleman who is and has always been there for the young people of our country. Chad provides mentorship, guidance, and opportunity wherever he can. Chad comes as a Barbados Labour Party candidate seeking your vote. His values align seamlessly with those of a party whose motto is a better life for our people. He comes to you grounded in knowledge and experience, and I know that every day, once he is elected, he will work to improve the lives of every person in this constituency. Chad is brought to you by a party that by its actions has been working tirelessly to make our people and their lives better. A party that I can attest from my own experiences provides the resources to allow us to all have a better tomorrow. From the day I joined this party, I was welcomed. I was encouraged. I was empowered. My elders welcomed me. They encouraged me. They hugged me. They speak empowerment over my life. And Chad, too, has always been there. Just a phone call away from the time I met him. Always ready to help. Always close by, offering his support. Tonight, I stand before you as a living testimony of the work of the Barbados Labour Party and their commitment to that better tomorrow. I remember the day that I was getting ready to go to the Ministry of Education, to find out if I would be eligible for a grant to attend university. That was the day that I also heard the excellent news that free education had been restored. Do you know what that meant for me and for many other Barbadians on that particular day? It meant that I could begin my journey to becoming an attorney at law without the burden or having to wonder where I would get the money from or if I would even get through with the grant. I am a living testimony of a party who says what it wants to do and does it in the name and interest of the people of this country. Similarly, they pledged to focus on agriculture and food security. They even named the ministry after it. Since coming to office, agriculture, minus the COVID years, has been in an upswing, registering a growth of 36% in 2018, 22% in 2019, 11% in 2020, and 24% in 2023. All a story that speaks to growth. Let's talk about the LEARS program, shall we? The LEARS program has provided over 50 acres of land to small farmers so that they could increase their crop production. And LEARS is special. You know why? Because if you drive past there is a pond that harvests the water that feeds those particular farms, ensuring that the climate issues of drought and heat, which has caused farmers to lose their crops in the past, are now limited under that particular project. Let's talk more about growth in agriculture. Growth in agriculture has also been seen under the FEED program. And if you don't know what it means Farmers Empowerment and Enfranchisement Drive. Now, under this program, farmers are provided with lots and the startup know-how too, and equipment to encourage more and to cause more production. Lands were also provided to the Rastafarian community, which now brings them to the table as well, empowering an entire community to be part of the economy and to take part in our food security. Now we know the opposition leader has an obsession with the sheep in Guyana. Not a black belly sheep, not a black belly sheep. I see black belly sheep every day. Our Ministry of Agriculture has also exploited lands in Guyana to allow Barbados to produce more and to aid the food security project of CARICOM, using Guyana as its blast lands and waters to be the food basket of the region. And that is an example of vision at work. This year's budget, which was delivered by the Honorable Ryan Strawn, spoke to transformative projects like vertical farming that will provide farmers containerized units to grow in that can produce 3 to 4 times more crops and more leafy produce a year. Farmers will become resilient to the climate issues under this Barbados Labour Party. We also heard of the boiler pens. So this government is supporting agriculture traditionally, but also finding new and innovative ways for our local farmers. This same government has ongoing projects like the Onion Project, under which 115 acres are to be cultivated so that we can have more than 1 million onions yielding per acre. Let's talk about Project CARE, seeking to attract persons who are unemployed and do not have other means of employment. We are encouraging them to get into farming, grow cash crops such as lettuce, tomatoes, and beans. When Barbados was facing the dairy crisis, let's not forget it, I couldn't get no vanilla milk. I was sad. Let us not forget that the government swiftly imported the cows and the heifers. The opposition will want to make you think that agriculture in this country is dead. And climate change is not real. I hate to hear that. But we felt the effects of climate change when the chickens died. And we couldn't get no chicken. And the government stepped in and made sure that those farms, who the government does not own, the government has no shares in those farms, but we assisted. They would not have done it. They would like to tell you that agriculture is dead. But how is agriculture dead when there are so many farmers here in St. James North? These small farms with their livestock right here. These small farmers with their livestock right here in Carbines Road. And I want to big up the young farmers in Upper Carlton over by Branch who took me on a lovely tour of their farm and showed me all the ribbons that they got at AgriFest. I was so impressed I could have cried. Big up the older farmers too. Grace, I hope you can hear me. Grace in Cemetery Lane. The opposition has a sports person or agriculture, but she has never engaged the stakeholders. She has never had a meeting with the farmers, but she is quick to take out her cell phone and record a bunch of ignorance and send it all over the place. All of these criticisms, but not a single word to this government, not a single word to our minister, not a single word to the key stakeholders about anything. St. James North, Chad is bringing you an agricultural opportunity as well, you know. Through this cooperative, he is bringing food security home. Very soon, small agricultural businesses in St. James North will be able to pull their resources together under one umbrella, and you will soon have your own St. James North Farmers Market to source and sell your meats and produce. You don't have to go to town. St. James North, you will reap the rewards of your hard work in agriculture. St. James North, our government is building a Barbados that can feed itself. A St. James North that can feed itself if Chad is elected as your representative. Providing continuous training in agriculture as well. St. James North, Barbados, we are cultivating rice. We are taking steps towards food security. Our cotton development program offers support to our farmers, ensuring that agriculture remains a vital part of our economy. St. James North, this is a story of two parties though. One that takes away opportunities, speaks without knowledge, speaks without consultation, and is generally unready. And one that invests in you, your children, and our future. One that cut the free education, and one that restored the free education. One that left the farmers struggling, gave the big plantation owners all the rebates on water. People that don't look like me or you, empowering them to succeed. And one that gave all farmers an opportunity under the incentive program. St. James North, this is your time. Let Chad be just a phone call away for you as your representative. Chad is ready to help you. Let him be just as close to you as he is to us, the youth in the Barbados Labour Party. Chad is ready to offer his support. This is your moment to choose leadership that cares, that listens, that delivers. On May 21st, I urge you to stand with me. Don't let your ex touch the box. Don't wear your campaign colors. Stand with Chad Blackman. Chad with the Barbados Labour Party. Together, we can build a brighter future for St. James North. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your energy. I thank you for your support for our party. I thank you for supporting our candidate. And let us make May the 21st a victory for progress. Let us go big and send the Democratic Labour Party home to George Street. I thank you. Good night.
Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman.
Awesome speech by Kiara. Awesome presentation. I am glad that Kiara has spoken about the support that is rendered to the agricultural workers, because we must talk about the fisherfolk community and the support since Hurricane Beryl. I am proud to be associated with this Barbados Labour Party government because it has recently been announced that through the United Nations Development Program, in association with the Japanese government, Barbados has been able to source $6 million Barbados dollars for the fisher folk community. And that is representation and that is results. But what is that $6 million Barbados dollars for? It is so that the fisher folk who were impacted by the destruction of their vessels, they have better communication systems so that we can find vessels, we can haul them, and we can ensure that we don't have the level of destruction that we had. So that is the improvement in the communication. It is also to bring some new modernization tactics to the Bridgetown complex so that the hauling capacity is improved. Now, additionally to that, it has taken a step further, and this program will also train the fisher folk in disaster resilient boat building. Because let me be fair, the fisher folk can't be out of work for 2 to 3 years. It simply can't happen. The fisher folk have to survive, Barbadians have to eat, and it is a community that is supporting us, so we must support it, and the Barbados Labour Party government is doing that for the fisher folk community. Now tonight, the next person who is going to come and speak to you is going to talk about community development, and he's going to talk about finding youth in that space. You know, there's a lot of talk about revitalizing the community, looking for the activities. There was recently a St. Joseph cricket tournament that coupled together former West Indies players, former Barbados players, with the average youth in the community who looked up to them and who want to use cricket as a viable way of supporting themselves. That is the type of government that you have. It looks for the opportunities for the youth, and it is not lip service. Tonight, I want to welcome to the stage Kiara Boyce, a youth advocate who is passionate about youth finding a space in every single corner of society and as well as in the government. Kiara Boyce.
Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability.
Good night, St. James North. Good night, people at Ashton Hall, Carbines Road, Cartsglatt, that's around the corner. Good night. I am so pleased to be speaking in Carbines Road tonight. It's because only a couple of weeks ago, the members that you will be hearing from today and the members that you would have heard from previously, we would have been canvassing the same gap alongside Chad Blackman and speaking to you, the residents of Carbines Road, on why you should place your confidence in Chad Blackman come May the 21st. So tonight, I will speak to why and go a little bit deeper in why you should cast your X and to be able to tie it in to the Barbados Labour Party's vision for sports development. And when the other side speaks and talks about that this government, is making sport at sports, tonight I will tell you how we are delivering on sports. We've seen last year, Kensington Oval was transformed for the Cricket World Cup. Spectacular, fine shit. And that you would have heard the other side make the point about, the $50 million that was borrowed to be able to revitalize Kensington and make it world class again. Because do not be confused. Do not forget that it was for this same Barbados Labour Party government in 2007 that would have developed Kensington and made it world class then. And it took a Barbados Labour Party government to come back in 2024 and to make it world class again. And they will say that we are making sport at sports. We are delivering on sports. $50 million, yes, was borrowed. And I will get the quote for you because, please, I don't want to be wrong. An independent report by Cricket West Indies says, hear this, that even though $50 million was borrowed to be able to redevelop Kensington, $800 million was added to our economy. 16 times more than the $50 million was borrowed. So when we break it down and we do the math, I know that 800 is greater than 50. And the other side, when I will say it again, will come and say that we are making sport at sports. What were we doing? Delivering on sports. And The redevelopment of Kensington Oval wasn't just to be able to just make it look pretty. You've seen the redevelopment stretch all across the length and breadth of it for this country, setting up various satellite sites in terms of cricketers so that young people could be able to aspire to be just like the same people from this community, Otis Gibson's, Ryan Hurley, Vaswit Dre, see people that come from St. James North. And this is what this government has been doing. We have been delivering on sports. And I get touch on the National Stadium. Yes, the National Stadium did take a little bit longer than we expected. But if you drive past Stadium Road, the stadium down, demolition complete, and construction is about to start. And if you take your eyes a little bit further, you will see that the netball stadium has also been demolished and construction is about to start. And what does that tell you, people of St. James North? That this is a government that can walk and clap. That this is a government that, as you've heard Kiara talk about agriculture, as we deliver on our agriculture and ensuring that we as Barbadians can feed ourselves, that we are also ensuring that young people can have opportunities to be good sportsmen and women in this country, and that the development of sports is real, and we have been delivering on sports. But I will not just stop there. You've heard the Prime Minister in her budget speech making mention that there is going to be a track and field site at Wildy. And there's also going to be one that's be coming from the east and one that's going to be in the north. And they will want to make you believe that we are making sport at sports. St. James North, what are we doing? We are delivering on sports. Now, I'm even going to go a bit further. Hard courts lightings, and you know, there have been an issue with various lightings for many years in relation to that of, you know, playing on hard courts in terms of the nighttime is dark. But you would have, what you would have seen from this government, 37 hard courts with lights, including that in Tranks Field, Tranks there in St. James North. So that if you want to go and play the football, or if you want to go and exercise, you can do it in the dark and you will be doing it on the lights. And the other side will make you want to believe, St. James North, that we are making sport at sports. But what are we doing? We are delivering on sports. And I get even a bit deeper. And I'm making sure I look at my tablet because I want to get the dates right. 2019. Announced the Barbados National Sports Policy for 2021 to 2030 with funding support for federations, community-based coaching, and athletic scholarships. 2020, reintroduced government grants to sporting organizations that had dried up. On the other side, there ain't no money, but this government find the money and putting it into sports federations. Over $1 million distributed to support national teams and clubs. 2022, launch a youth in sport program and roll out coaching clinics in football, cricket, netball, and basketball, and many held at the community centers across St. James North. 2024, launch the community sports ambassadors program. Road tennis, who haven't touched road tennis yet, and they need a little bit of water because the amount of things that this government is doing for sports. Can I get some, please? Thank you, oh Lord. Road tennis. When you put in Google road tennis years ago, you can't find nothing about it. I want you to take out your phones and Google road tennis and see just even that road tennis is being exported to Africa, Canada, and they're saying that this is documentaries that the state-owned entities doing the other side may want to claim. A Canadian news agency would have documented and reporting about it, independent from this government. And I can also speak about the $20,000, well, $40,000 the government is placed in the road tennis competition. Can you remember that a government putting so much money in road tennis and the development of the sport? No. And they will want to make you believe that we are making sport at sports, St. James North, but what are we doing? We are delivering on sports. But what does all of this mean to you? And how would this tie into Chad's vision? You would have heard the first speaker, Shakim, speak about health and wealth and how Chad is looking to be able to develop a healthy society. And this is what this government is doing, not only in terms of producing people to be professional sportsmen and women in this country, but also to ensure that they have access to various sporting facilities to be able to ensure that health is wealth. And on the eve of the senior games, when have you seen so much hype about senior games? When they like the development that Kurt Humphrey's leading on? Development. Money behind sports. This is a government that just don't talk. We are about action. And I can also touch on what happened last month. I don't know. Anyone know what happened last month? It's a sporting meet that happened in Trinidad. And what? Carifta, thank you very much. And at Carifta, do you know that Barbados would have received the most medal tallies that it ever had in years? Years. And thanks to the redevelopment led by this government, because this government is committed to ensuring that young people can have the best possible opportunity to be able to thrive, that they can have the best possible opportunity to be the embodiment of this Labour Party's motto, building a better life for our people. And I get touched a little bit more about Chad. Chad, in terms of the linkages between primary schools and clubs, you're going to hear Chad more speak about that in terms of investing in sports tourism so that St. James North can rise. But you know, I just can't come and speak all these little facts, but I also do have a little joke for you. And what I will say about the other side is that they will promise you a new gym and they will give you a skipping rope. So that this government wouldn't do that. We are about developing sports and ensuring that St. James North can rise. So people of St. James North, my message was simple. It was clear. This Labour Party has been delivering on sports and will continue to deliver on sports on your behalf. But we are going to need your help. We are going to need Chad Blackman in Parliament to be able to ensure that he can represent your interests. Member for St. James North, as the Speaker of House will say it, and you will feel so proudly that Chad Blackman gets up. Because there's only one candidate in this race who understands you, who feels you, who have walked the length and breadth of with this constituency, and even before a by-election was called, he has been working and delivering in this constituency, and that is why on May the 21st, you should give him your support. Because Chad Blackman, a big man with a big vision and a big plan, all he needs to do is to have your support on May the 21st. And I have walked this constituency, and I know that you will give him support on May the 21st, St. James North. Go big with Chad Blackman.
We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home.
One of those conversations that strikes me important is the amount of development opportunities for youth and how the opposition has been speaking about the fact that we have been doing nothing in terms of technology, in terms of equipping the youth with the skills of the 21st century. And I watched this video from the opposition leader's YouTube channel, and he was speaking about what we aren't doing for the youth and how we aren't providing opportunities with the AI revolution and using automated processes. And I said to myself, I got to be living in a twilight zone, because when the now Prime Minister was spending on edutech, the same opposition that is asking you for your vote had a problem with spending on equipping youth with technological skills. So much so that what to do? They scrap the budget as opposed to working on developing the program. Now look at where we are today. We now have to catch up. The pandemic taught us that we now have to catch up. You could imagine if that program had continued, where we would have been today. Now, I have another young man joining me on the stage who's just as passionate as me about technological skills, equipping youth with the skills for the 21st century. He's a columnist in a very popular nation newspaper. Join me once again by welcoming Shakim Jordan. My apologies. Tyrell J.
We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man.
Good night, Labour Party family. Good night, St. James North. I was asked a question, and it was, why do I support the Barbados Labour Party? And my response was, I will always support the Barbados Labour Party because, always. And the most important accomplishment that I can list right now is the return of the free tertiary education to the students of Barbados. And as I reflect on it, in May 2018, when the election was going on, I was an applicant at the University of the West Indies. And the Prime Minister and the Barbados Labour Party made the promise that the tertiary education will be reinstated for Barbadian youth. First of all, I want to say that it was taken away by people who claim to be educated. And I wonder why. Is it because they don't believe that the people from Western, yes, Western and not Western, is it because they don't believe that the people from Western and Sand Hill and Rockdunder and Ashton Hall should have access to the free education from one of the top 5% universities in the world? And we hear the horror stories of people upwards to 2017 having to go to the student revolving loan. People having to drop out of university because they couldn't afford it. And in 2018, promise made, promise delivered, that education was reinstated. I also believe that we need to look forward, as we have a visionary leader in Mayor Moore Motley, and this is a visionary party. We can no longer shy away from technology, and we can no longer be afraid of it. What we need to do, though, is find safer ways to use it and embrace it. As you've seen Chad done with the opening of the technology hub in St. James North, so that your youth, your young people, can go and learn more about robotics and what's not. I also believe that the government, in its wisdom, back to university, has made 2 free masters education-based, the e-governance and the business analytics. And with that being said, when we hear the world talking about big data, the knowledge economy, the data economy, we can't have our youth out here lost, wondering what they're talking about. That's why the government invested in these programs. And if you aren't, or if you think you aren't ready for university, the government has other things in place for you. As our leader has put in place the NTI, the National Training Initiative, with thousands of free courses, many of them technologically based, so that you can sit from the comfort of your home no matter your age, but especially for us young people, to get us off the blocks and get us more inclined to technology and what's happening around the world. And if that's not good enough, there's the artificial intelligence and the cybersecurity. So all of these programs that I list are either free or funding is made available. This government isn't playing. This government doesn't want any more sad stories or anybody else's name plastered in the newspaper talking about you owe for a loan. And it's not that you're not paying back because of negligence, but it's merely because you just can't afford to pay and live a comfortable life at the same time. And this is why I support the Barbados Labour Party. This is why I will always support the Barbados Labour Party. And this is why I support Chad Blackman. Because he too shares these visions. He too believes in free education. He too believes in training for the youth, which you've seen he started in the constituency already. and he's only the prospective MP. I also want to say that this Barbados Labour Party has a history of taking care of its youth and putting us in a place of leadership. We can go down in history to 25 years ago when a 25-year-old Gregory Nichols was put in the Senate, or we can fast forward 25 years later to today, where a young Andweli, a person with disabilities, was put in the Senate by Miamor Motley. Because we know that inclusivity is important. Or we can talk about a young Shanika or a young Kurt Humphrey, who's been a minister for almost 7 years. Or we can talk about the young Kurt Haynes, who's now gone away. This Barbados Labour Party takes care of its youth. And this is why I urge all the young people in the surrounding areas to come out and vote on May 21st. I encourage you to join the Labour Party as well, because we take care of our youth. There's also mentorship involved in this party. Just because you're a minister doesn't mean that they're too big to mentor people. I remember spending Sundays at K. McConney. I remember hanging out with Chad just a few weeks ago. He's not too big to come down to our level. With all that said, get out on May 21st. The ballot box does not start with anything in it. We need to fill it. And we need to fill it with an X for Chad. So May 21st, see you at the ballot box. Thank you.
Chad. We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity. With the whole lot of love for this country, you don't know Chad Blackman is ready. And with a whole lot of knowledge, bright and soul.
I want to say thank you to Tyrell for coming on and batting his hand along with those who would have gone before. You would have heard more about the programs that Chad has to put on in St. James North. You would have heard more about what the government has in store, what the government has done. From this platform so far tonight, we've been hearing facts. We've been hearing policy. And we've been hearing it presented by the young people of the Barbados Labour Party. Recognizing that we have to arm ourselves with this information, because if we want to be a part of the conversation, we need to know what is going on. I saw just the other day, there was a clip with Chad. He was in the constituency. I think he was playing some cricket with the young men. And earlier we had Caleb. He was talking about sports and sports initiatives, because we want to further develop our young people in sports. So I saw Chad playing with the young men, and in the comment section, all I could see was negative comments about how it was just for photo opportunity. Whereas knowing the man himself, he was genuinely taking care and taking time to spend with the young men of this constituency of St. James North, because he believes in development. He believes in putting the young people forward. Tyrell would have just spoke and he said the Barbados Labour Party takes care of its young people. And we can see that in Chad Blackman, because he has developed and he has passed through the Labour Party at their various positions. He has served locally, he has served regionally, and he has also served internationally, because this party is about development. In terms of development, I heard earlier about planting and farming and so on. And it took my mind back. I wouldn't purport myself to be no type of farmer in any way. I've planted a couple of items and so on, a couple of fruit trees, a couple of Standing might like a couple of flowers and so on. But what I've recognized, I don't know if you've ever come across certain plants that when placed in particular vessels, they can only go so far. They can only grow so big. Recognizing that sometimes these plants, wanting to see them reach their full potential, sometimes it's necessary for us to transplant those plants into spaces where they can blossom, where they can bloom, and where they can reach their full potential. We also recognize that in some people. I've also seen people try to do the opposite of that and try to revert where they had places where they can grow and develop and want to go into places where they cannot. But I'm not here to talk about that much tonight. But I want to introduce you to a young lady who understands that sometimes you need to be transplanted in order to develop. Sometimes you need to be transplanted in order to blossom, and sometimes you need to be transplanted in order to bloom. So join me in welcoming to the stage Miss Tyra Topman.
We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman.
Good evening, Barbados Labour Party family. Good evening, St. James North. Good evening, Barbados. First of all, I want to thank the Barbados Labour Party and the Young Socialists for giving me the opportunity to continue to pursue my passion in advocating for the young people of Barbados. I am truly humbled by the grace that this party has shown me. But most of all, by the grace that the Honorable Prime Minister, Madam Mia Amor Motley, has shown me. As you may know, during my tenure as chairperson for the Young Democrats, I publicly criticized some of the policies and decisions by this government. But despite my criticisms, I was welcomed by the Barbados Labour Party with open arms at the conference last year in October, before I was a member. Despite my criticisms, the Honorable Prime Minister has welcomed me and embraced me. I cannot say the same for the leader of the other place, who in the face of criticism locked out his members. This is the difference between chalk and cheese, young people. As the late, great Nelson Mandela said, it is a grave error for any leader to be oversensitive in the face of criticism. Despite my criticisms, I must say that just because I am a member of the Barbados Labour Party today doesn't mean that I have automatically withdrawn them. But what I will say is that the government has listened. We cried out about the potholes in the roads. We are now getting better roads all across Barbados. You saw it with the Mill and Braph program that started since last year. In St. James North alone, we've had improvements to Highway 1, Millionaire Road, Clark's Road, Upper Carlton No. 2, 2nd Avenue, Sion Hill, Rockdundo Main Road, Upper Mount Standfast, Brathwaite's Road, Halls Road, Westmoreland Road, Porter Road, Sweet Home Road, Road View that is currently being undertaken. We cried out about the cost of living. We are now getting VAT-free and import duty-free prices on certain foods like stew beef, mincemeat, pineapples, barley, pears, plums, grapefruits, mandarins, you name it. We cried out about the working conditions. This government is for the second time increasing the minimum wage to $10.50, starting from June the 1st the second increase since this government came into power in 18, sorry. The second increase being in July 2022, the first increase. Compared to the Democratic Labour Party that only increased minimum wage once in 10 years on March 1st, 2012 to 6/25. Young people, twice in 7 years versus once in 10 years. The math ain't mathing. We also cried out about the job opportunity. The government has managed to create an environment which attracted a Friction Bank, which will generate 1,000 jobs during its development and 300 permanent jobs upon its completion. The government attracted the new Sandals beaches, scheduled to be developed in St. Peter, which will generate a total of 3,500 jobs during its construction and completion. Further, there are several hotels being constructed and remodeled. We have Pendry in Six Mains, Indigo in Hastings, Hyatt Ziva in Lower Bay Street, Pierhead Royalton in Whole Town, which are all scheduled to be complete within the next 18 months and will generate a total of 4,000 permanent jobs. This, young people, is growth. Not only in the sense of reducing unemployment, but in the sense of growing the economy, because it is promoting the tourism industry, which we all know we are heavily dependent on, which will then trickle down into our society. The taxi men, the vendors, the service providers, those who do hairs, nails, eyelashes, eyebrows, even the men that just go and do the massages on the beach with the aloe vera. We talked out and rallied about the construction of a new national stadium. You saw me in the video. Well, I am happy to report today that on April 23rd, 2025, the demolition process began. Better late than never, right? Young people, these things have shown me as a young person that we have a government that listens. We have a government that listens to the voices of the young people of Barbados, even in the face of criticism. That rather than catching feelings, silencing microphones, and locking gates, we have a government that takes accountability and makes things happen. As the Honorable Prime Minister has said many, many times, the government is not perfect, but it is improving, and it is moving the people of Barbados forward. I also want to commend the Barbados Labour Party for being an institution which embraces and propels its ambitious young people by promoting succession. The Prime Minister was the youngest member of Parliament ever to have a ministry when she was appointed Minister of Education, Youth Affairs and Culture in September 1994 at the age of 29. Well, that's my age now. Sorry to show up your age, Madam PM. We also have the example of Chad Blackman, who was the president of the Young Socialists and then was given the opportunity to represent Barbados abroad when he served on the ILO, the WTO, the Commonwealth Secretariat, to name a few. And then the Honorable Prime Minister, recognizing his talents, called him back home and said, come and contest the seat of St. James North, giving him the opportunity to run in an elective politics. I want to commend the former MP for St. James North, Mr. Eddie Hinkson, for being a class act and handling retirement with grace. Former MP Hinkson publicly endorsed, promoted, and supported Chad Blackman as a man to take over from him. Compare that with the monstrosity in George Street, where the old guard just cannot seem to let go. They ostracize, humiliate, and cast aside any young person who shows any signs of leadership, forcing candidates on you, which you, the public, have already rejected not once, but twice. No means no, Ralph Thorne. You know MP Hinkson, former MP Hinkson, he saw me at a law conference. I think it was sometime in 2022 or 2023. And he said, young lady, you know you have talent, you know. You have talent, but you need a mentor. And I don't think they have those in the DLP. I merely laughed. I thought it was political jargon. But it turns out he was correct. You know, my mother always told me I was one of those children that needed to feel, to learn. I was warned countless times. The GLP don't like women. They have a bad history with women. They don't like young people. But I was hopeful. I also wanted to give Barbados the opportunity to have a reliable opposition if they chose so. But you must not vote for them just because you want an opposition. Them ain't ready. A weak or misguided opposition is more dangerous than none at all. So my brothers and sisters, I come to you with the tale of two parties. I have experienced both. On the one hand, you have a party and a candidate who embraces its women and youth. A party that is not offended by criticism, but listens and fixes its shortcomings. A party that promotes succession and advancement of young people. A party that promotes democracy. A party that follows its constitution. And then on the other end, you have a candidate that, although she says she is for the youth and women, stands with a man and a party that has disrespected its young people and women. You know, they didn't even go to the funeral of the late Dame Maisie Barker Welch. What a disappointment. You have a candidate on the other side that represents a man and an executive that has no respect for its constitution. So how should we, the public, decide or trust that they will respect the Constitution of Barbados? You have a man and a party that does not listen, but catch feelings and throw tantrums and lock people out. And every day is losing the support of its membership, both old and young. You know, a party is only as good as its members, as the people who make up the party. And I'm here to tell you today, Barbados, that the DLP we once knew is dead. You know, Mackie saw me and he said, Tyra, take off the hat, man. You look too formal. You look like you're going to a funeral. Well, here lies the body of the Democratic Labour Party. That, my brothers and sisters, is the haunting distinction between the two. One makes sense and one does not. And so, since I tend to err on the side of decency, morality, fairness, common sense, and democracy, this is why I have chosen now to align myself with the Barbados Labour Party. This is why I stand with my comrade, Chad Blackman, the big man with the big plan. And I'm asking you on the 21st of this month to go out and show your support by voting for Chad Blackman, voting for the Barbados Labour Party. Thank you, BLP, for your grace. Thank you, Barbados Labour Party, for your kindness. Vote Chad Blackman.
Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity.
All right, Tyra. Y'all heard it here on this platform. A tale of two parties. A tale of two parties. She said it better than I could ever say it. Herein lies what? All right, I won't repeat her. I will not repeat her. But following that, we have another young lady, another powerhouse, one that is no stranger to this political platform, one that is no stranger to service, one who is an activist at heart, one who has something in common with Chad Blackman, as he used to be one of the League of Young Socialists president. Here we have the current president of the League of Young Socialists, ready to address you here on this BLP platform in St. James North. Join me in welcoming Rashana Prim to the platform.
Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion.
Good night to my BLP family. Good night to my St. James North family. Good night to St. Peter. Good night. Comrades, it's been a little while since we've had a conversation like this. And I feel very proud as the president of the League of Young Socialists to be on this platform with these young people. I don't know about you, comrades, but this meeting is giving me a vibe. This meeting is giving me an energy, and it's giving me the energy of when bees come together to make something good. When bees have a goal, when bees are about to make honey, and I am certain, having been on the ground in St. James North, that on May 21st, we will make honey with the big man. Comrades, in St. James North, I have also felt the energy. I have felt the energy of a constituency that is red and ready. But most importantly, tonight and throughout this entire campaign, I have seen the vision. I have seen the vision of a party that understands that we are not just governing for now, but we are governing for the future. That we cannot govern without young people taking center stage. That we cannot ignore and lock out our young people if we are building a country for the future. I see the vision of a party that understands that representation is about serving and uplifting communities, rubbing shoulders, and building a Barbados where everyone thrives. I feel a vibe. I feel the support for the big man, for the big mission, for the big passion, for the big plans. And I feel the energy that we understand here in the BLP, that this election is not about personality. But this election is about politics and people. This election is about people. Because that is what politics is about, and that is what Chad is about. It is not about privilege. It is not about party, but we have to center the people of St. James North. It is about your job, your access to opportunities, whether your children can go to school or not, where they go to school and how they go to school. It is about your grandmother's pension. Matter of fact, it is about your pension. To be quite honest, I work, so it's about my pension too. Your right to be heard, to be treated fairly, and to be included. And the Barbados Labour Party, and indeed Chad Blackman, has a vision that includes creating opportunities, building bridges, and opening doors. And so tonight I say to you that when we say that this country is our very own, when we say to you that we have been building a better Barbados for 86 years, we do not take it lightly. It is not simply words that we say. It is a promise. It is a commitment. It is an understanding that regardless of where you come from, whether from Sion Hill or Weston, whether from the Whim or you come from right here in Carbons Road, Millionaires Road, Graves Road, or anywhere else in Barbados, that you belong here and that we have the responsibility to ensure that you can thrive, that your children thrive, and that you live the best life that you can live. It is an understanding that the way that we treat our most vulnerable is a true reflection of the strength of our democracy. That I am because you are. We do not have the luxury of losing ground. The Barbados Labour Party for 86 years has been building a better life for our people, and tonight I say to you that we do not plan to stop. This is not a mission with an end in sight. We have a North Star, and every time we get better, we say we could do better than that. And so we keep doing better. And so I also want to say to you tonight that when people show you who they are, believe them. Don't doubt them. Trust it. And so some parties may say the right words, but their record tells another story. And when they try to convince you that they have changed, that they have shed old skins, I want you to be assured that it is the same wine in new bottles. And so the Democratic Labour Party has been loud and clear. And maybe that is why we continuously hear about a Western in St. James North. And so tonight I want to say that, well, George Street might be the Wild Wild West, a bad one at that, that in St. James North, the constituency of St. James North, the place that you are referring to is Western, and they deserve the respect for you to acknowledge the right place of their district. They show you when they turn their backs on their own and lock out their members, expelling without reason or regard. Undine, Irene, Ronnie, Steve, Trisha, Michael. Am I missing anybody? Cause Tyra was a red woman at heart. She was never supposed to be crossed there. She born a red woman. Welcome home, comrade. We got work to do. They show us who they are when they disappear and they opt out of governance. Can't find them at social partnership. Missing from the education transformation consultations. Nowhere at the table for the social empowerment talks. And we are supposed to believe that you are ready. They do not care about process. They do not care about progress. They care about power. It is not about governance. It is about performance. It is not about representation. It is about theatrics. It is not about service. It is about pomp and pageantry. And when people forget that leadership, and indeed politics is about people, they lose the authority to lead. And it cannot be Kadir when it ain't got no opposition. Because what does that mean? And Tyra said it to you. A bad opposition is worse than no opposition at all. And so they have shown you, they have shown us who they are. And tonight I say to you, believe them. And while they show who they are through division, exclusion, and chaos, on the other hand, we have a party that has shown, this Barbados Labour Party, has shown time and time again, not through speeches or walkthroughs, but through our actions, that we understand what it means to represent and to govern. The Adopt a Family program during COVID-19 stepped in as a safety net for those who had no income in their households, providing income to them every single month so that they could take care of the necessities. We heard that there was a problem. We saw that there was a problem, and we fixed it. And that is what responsive governance looks like. We see it again with the One Family program. 1,000 families. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about families having access to the best of what our social care has to offer. Focused on ensuring that you have housing, food, health care, education, and that your mental wellness is taken care of, but providing you with a social worker so that you can move out of your circumstances and continue to go up the ladder, because we understand that where you start is not where you might finish. The story of inclusion does not end there, because this is the party that got rid of illegitimacy. And so in this budget, when we said that we were offering that paternity leave would be introduced for the first time in this country's history, we continue the work that we had already started because we understand that governance is not a clean slate that you get. You continue. And so we continue time and time again to build on that legacy. Shakim said this is the party that saves Barbados when it comes to the economy, when it comes to our social services. I want you to look at where we were in 2018. Look at where we are now. We ain't hit 10 years yet, and we have been doing the work. And I assure you that with the leader that we have, Mia Amor Motley, our Prime Minister, the woman that speaks on international stages, when we bring Chad Blackman into cabinet, into parliament, and he stands as a representative, we will understand what representation looks like. We see it, we want to continue it at St. James North. We want to make sure that you are right there with us. And so when we introduce paternity leave, and for the first year, regardless of marital status, an extended maternity leave, because we understand that it is not gendered, it meant that what we did was say that you as a family, whatever your family unit looks like, father and mother have a responsibility. And so we ensure that that is something that is given. We passed the policy for the persons with disabilities in order to improve their lives because we understand the challenges, because we recognize that it is all Barbadians. We ain't carrying some and not the others. Everybody must come a road. And so if we are taking everybody, we make sure that it is not simply talk, but that with grants, services, and legislation, that we can ensure that we protect some of the most vulnerable here. We've also got the special needs grant because we understand that there are expenses as well. And so what we have said is that we recognize that adults or children with autism, cerebral palsy, visual or hearing impairments will receive a grant, but also that as we learn about more, because we don't know everything, this is a government that admits it does not know everything. We are listening government. Nobody does, Symptomia. And so what we do is that as you come to us and say that this is a condition, we are willing to include it. And this is what compassion and empathy looks like in fiscal policy. This is what it means when we understand that governance is about people at its heart. And so we continue to work. And we continue through the creation of the Social Empowerment Agency, recognizing that we have an aging population, so we have relocated and upgraded the geriatric hospital. The elderly bill is coming. I ain't get halfway through. And so this government continues to work for the most vulnerable. It continues to invest in the most vulnerable. And it continues to listen to make sure that if we didn't know that you was vulnerable before, that when we recognize that you vulnerable, we pulling you on board because we want to make sure that, like I keep saying, every Barbadian, it ain't matter what nook or cranny you come from. It don't matter where you hail from, but that you are seen. And so this tells you a story, a clear story. It provides a contrast of the difference. When people tell you who they are, believe them. And this government understands that our North Star has been and will always be a better life for our people. And so in St. James North, we have walked with Chad. We have sat in your houses. Thank you for having us. We have... Someone just reminded me about Barbara around the corner that I hang out with when I was here. And so I ride a bicycle in St. James North. Can't maybe last time I do that either. But we had a good time here. It is warm and it is inviting. And so what I have as a message to the people of St. James North is that you have heard this time and time again over the last couple of weeks. But when we talk about people first, Chad Blackman has shown who he is. He has walked with you and talked with you for over a year. Chad is not new to service, and I want us to be clear about that. Chad understands service because he has served. Shamar mentioned when he introduced me that Chad was a former president of the League of Young Socialists. I was also president of the Barbados Youth Development Council, and Chad was a former president of the Barbados Youth Development Council. Chad was a CARICOM youth ambassador. Chad has served us, whether you think about in Parliament, in the Senate, or you think about in the ILO. Whether it be at high-level meetings or grassroots conversations, when you meet Chad, you feel his authenticity and how genuine he is from his stomach. I have known Chad for over 15 years, so that's half my life. And Chad has always been willing to assist wherever possible. He came to the league and he said, whatever y'all need, ask me and I am here if I can. And that has been Chad. He is committed. And so Chad is not here for the applause. He is here to deliver. He is here to listen and he wants to respond. Whether it is meeting the young farmers that we met before, or it is looking at how he can improve and engage persons who are invested in agriculture in this community, Chad wants to make life better for St. James North. And I can't imagine that we could want anything else. He is the right person for the right time in the right place. And so St. James North, I am telling you that this is the right place. Chad is doing the work, St. James North. The tech hub was already launched. If you look around, y'all probably, some people have seen Chad multiple times, and he's getting to everybody because he understands that he needs to walk with you and talk with you. My friends, we are on the home stretch. We got a week left to go. And so as I close, this is my message to you. This is not the time for complacency. The votes don't come by themselves. This is not the time for hesitation. This is not the time to sit back and think that we got things covered. There is too much progress. Too many people depending on us. Too many dreams that are beginning to take root. Too many young people who we have so much to offer. A country to give to them. To give to them. The best country that we can offer them. We are doing the work now so that they can take Barbados forward in the future. You have seen the League of Young Socialists on stage tonight. You have seen what we have to offer. And what that says to you is that this party is in good hands. This country is in good hands. We are red and ready. We are willing. We are going to defend what we built. We are going to protect what matters. We are going to ensure that Barbadians, no matter where they come from and who they are, can always thrive, that their dreams can be realized, that they can go to university, that they can leave here and go to Geneva and represent us, that they can go to the Olympics, that they can sign football contracts. This is the government that will make sure that Barbadians thrive. And Chad Blackman is the man for St. James North. I am asking you not just to show up on election day. What I want you to do, what we need you to do, what Chad needs you to do is to show out, to bring a friend, to tell your aunt, to tell somebody, carry your neighbor. When you left at 7 o'clock, carry somebody with you. Blackman, Chad, do not touch the lines. Good night. God bless.
Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman.
I want to talk a bit about economic performance before I bring on our next speaker. Because we have to remember and put things into context. We had to rebuild our reputation internationally. Right now, we can honestly say that we're in a far better situation than we found in 2018, with less than 4 weeks in foreign reserves, with 10 plus downgrades. We could not borrow money. And you and I understand that in order for us to do any home repairs, in order for us to buy a car, we have to have a clean bill of health. And if we can't have a clean bill of health, then we can't put ourselves in position to buy the things and afford the things that make our life more comfortable. So when we speak about economic development, we have to think about stewardship. And the leader of this Barbados Labour Party has taken us through a pandemic, a freak storm, volcanic, yes, ashfall, and numerous wars. And those are things that are happening externally. But she still had to balance looking for opportunities and looking to develop the country, because she's rooted in the understanding that if you provide opportunities for the average man, then that is development for Barbados. Shane Archer is going to come to you next to this platform, and he's going to expound a bit more on the economy and how economic performance matters to you and how it affects our pocket and how it affects the average man in communities just like St. James North.
We going big, we going big, we going big. Go big or go home.
Thank you,
Big man, big heart.
Good night, St. James North. I must say it feels good to be here tonight. And as I go into my speech tonight, I'm a young entrepreneur deeply involved in the cultural landscape in Barbados, in particular the entertainment industry. And I want to say how easy it is, how much better it is to conduct business now under this Barbados Labour Party government. Under the Democratic Labour Party, you can go and get a loan. You can go and get a little. The government had nothing to kind of get a little 5,000. As Minister Cummings mentioned, we give over $25 million in loans, in small business loans to young people in this country. So as I go into the economic landscape of the country at the moment, we must take a journey back in time and look at the mismanagement under the Democratic Labour Party. Y'all remember the NSRL? That first they gave it 2% and then they raised it to 10% in 2017. When I remember the 3,000 layoffs in 2014. Y'all remember the 15, Katasha said 10, but you gain enough. We have 15. We have 15 downgrades under the Democratic Labour Party. Y'all remember that we were in March for Kia Hill? When I remember all these things that we went no through town when we're in white. Listen, the Democratic Labour Party destroyed our economy. It was hard for young people to do business. It was hard for old people to do a business. It is hard for everybody to do business in this country. When we came to government in 2018, we had 3 weeks left of import cover. Y'all know what that means? That means in 3 weeks, we'd kick the bucket. We had nothing left. The dollar was on the brink of devaluation. We had nothing left. Mayor Motley and the Barbados Labour Party came to office and saved the Barbadian dollar and saved the Barbadian economy. When we speak about the achievements of the Barbados Labour Party, the first one Tyrell mentioned, and I have benefited from it. My sisters, my brothers, my family, is the reintroduction of free education back in this country. We understand that ONAFA told us 1 graduate per household, and what the Dems do? Take it right away from we. That is what the Democratic Labour Party do. They took education away from us. The next thing, when we came to office, one of the first things we did, I mentioned it before, was the introduction of the Trust Loan Fund. We have the YES program. We have the Trust program. We have so many different initiatives that will help young people get their feet off the ground in business and keep the economy turning. That is what this Barbados Labour Party is about, a better life for our people. And when we continue our achievements under this government, we must never forget the South Coast sewage issue. When I remember how much articles I had in all international newspapers, all international media carrying the South Coast sewage issue, we must never forget the decline that the Democratic Labour Party put us under in between 2008 and 2018. Under this Barbados Labour Party government, we have achieved we have advanced in our economic activities by providing opportunities for our young people. And when we look at the entertainment industry, we must realize that events such as our programs, such like the crop over event, we generate between $80 to $150 million in economic activity. There is no other There's no other cultural activity. There's no other project that we could go on that will provide as much economic activity as crop over. And when we look at the landscape, how many events are we seeing across this country? Almost on a monthly basis, we see different stage shows. We see different types of events, whether it's regathering, whether it's private sector events, limes. This is what the Barbadian culture is about, and about stimulating these monies within the informal societies. How many hairdressers, how many nail techs, how many carpenters, how many plumbers. It affects the entertainment industry, affects and impacts a number of different industries in this country, and we could not do it without the Barbados Labour Party. This is the government that put things in place for us as young people to be able to go and to get a little loan if you want to get a truck, if you want to get some lights, if you're doing events. These are the things that the Barbados Labour Party put in place for us. And, when we think about the other side, Felicia Dujon, who is running against Chad, she claims to be an educator, but I know that she only went to 2 classes for the semester. And I know that my comrades, I was on the Guild when I was at UE, my comrades at the Guild are telling me now that she does not come to class. But every time they got a small issue at school, you can see she running down in front of the media. Felicia, the people want you to come class. And when we look at she does not even know the constituency. I know that everybody talk about the Western, I think. She does not know the constituency. She does not know Barbados. Furthermore, she don't even know St. Lucia. She's a St. Lucian because she only get 39 votes when she run. So when we think about the candidate, the chalk and cheese that we have, Chad Blackman is a man that stands tall, a man with a vision, a man with a plan. This is the person that we need right now for St. James North. This is the person that we need in the Barbados Labour Party right now as a young person carrying the mantle for young people in this country as the Minister of Education. Well, if the Prime Minister decides to do that, which I know she will. But all jokes aside, we must not take this for granted. There are some people that will come and tell you, vote for opposition. Don't go vote for the opposition and vote in the government, because that's what will happen. And the worst thing that can happen to the Barbados economy or the Barbados life right now is putting not only the Dems, putting that short man in power. You should not, well, he's short too, so I can't say that in. But the worst thing that we could do is put Ralph Thorne or the Democratic Labour Party in power. We must not allow the DLP propaganda to get the best of us. We as young people, we understand the political landscape. We know that we have a leader that we could trust. You know that Ralph Thorne in 2018 went on stage and recite a Maya Angelou poem in defense of my Prime Minister, Mia Motley. And now today, he cussing she left, right, and center. That is political hypocrisy. And we as young people want leaders that we can trust. We want leaders that are consistent. We want leaders that could help us. We don't want people that you don't know if one day you can get Adolf Hitler or if you can get Frondel Stewart, because one, he got theatrics and then next day he's sleeping in Parliament. We want people that are serious about us. We want people that are serious about young people. We don't want the theatrics. We don't want the fakeness of Ralph Thorne, because between 2018 and 2022, I never even heard him speak in Parliament. He was a Labour Party man. He does not know what he is doing. We as the Labour Party family must not allow the Democratic Labour Party to come back into our homes, must not allow them to come back even on the ballot box. When Felicia Dujon or whatever she named come on election day, we must ensure that she does not even get back her deposit. We must make sure that when the returning officer really hears Blackman, from a Corbin's Road down to Mount Stanford, up to Rock Dunder, and down to Western, we must make sure that all the boxes, we win all the boxes, and we as young people have been canvassing through all the boxes, and the response that we have been getting has been tremendous. Chad Blackman is a good man. Chad Blackman is a good man, and he is a good man with a vision and a plan. You see the transformative programs that he's putting in place, the technological programs that he's putting in place that will expose young businessmen to showcase their talents, whether it's if you're doing, as Tyra said, the guys doing the massages on the beach, whether it's the nail techs, the carpenters, whatever, you can go on and showcase your business. These are the things that Chad Blackman is doing, and these are the things that the Barbados Labour Party has continued to do in office. When I realized that back in 2018, we had no buses, we are on the garbage trucks. No, we got buses, we got garbage trucks, we got ambulances. We ain't got the South Coast sewage issue no more. The only sewage on the South Coast right now is Raftar, the Democratic Labour Party. And we are going to get rid of them whenever the Prime Minister calls the election. But on May 21st, we must ensure that Child Blackman is elected, and elected strong, that from Carbons Road right down to Mount Stanford, that we are electing a new man, a man that has the vision of young people at the forefront of his thoughts, a man that has the vision of the order of every single body those with disabilities. This is a man that we must make sure that we elect. This is a good man, and we must make sure that we continue to support the Barbados Labour Party as we continue our journey for a better life for our people. Thank you, and good night.
We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability with the whole lot of love for this country. You don't know Chad Blackman is ready. And with a whole lot of knowledge, bright and so innovative.
We're hearing the fire coming from this platform tonight. All right, I want to thank Shane again for his speech. And he was talking about the programs that Chad has, the initiatives that Chad has for the young people. But I wanted to talk about this specific initiative that Chad has for the young people, but with the elderly in mind. Because yes, this is a young platform. Yes, we are talking to the young people, but we also would like to talk to the elderly. Because they will be going out in their numbers as well come May 21st to drop their X for Chad Blackman. Therefore, I want to bring to the forefront and bring your attention to this initiative that he has with the acronym GRAY. Y'all have heard of this initiative? All right. And this initiative is standing for guiding, reflecting, educating, and yielding principles that honor the vital roles of our senior citizens who shape our communities. We cannot forget the senior citizens. They are necessary. We are seeing currently what is happening in this country, and more now than ever, we need to bring our communities together. We need to remember the value system that we have had over the years, the value system that has led us as a country, the value system that has ensured that the young people keep on the straight and narrow. So I see Chad coming with this initiative to bridge this gap, to bring the young people and the elderly together by utilizing the knowledge of the elderly so that it can pass on, putting it in the format that the young people can digest and understand. So we need you, the people of St. James North. In order for him to bring this initiative to St. James North, we would need you to go to the polls to vote him in as your representative. Because the programs that you have heard so far, I know it's not an exhaustive list. This is only the beginning of the programs that Chad Blackman has for St. James North. I know he has more in store for St. James North. Now, before I welcome the next speaker to this platform, I must make this comment here because I recognize there are some persons from the other side who believe that focusing on how a person presents, how they may look, is what is telling about what is inside them. But I want to tell you that that is not the case. The next person that is coming up here, though she may be a little shorter than most, she is a short person, but a big axe. She is a person who understands service and representation as well, as she also would have sat in the Senate at a point, speaking on the behalf of the young people. So therefore, I want to introduce to the stage, and I want you to help me introduce Shanika Roberts Odell.
Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his
Family. No, family. What a good and wondrous thing it is to be amongst my BLP family, my Barbadian family, but most importantly tonight, my St. James North family. It is a good thing to be back on a BLP stage. But you see, tonight is different for me. Tonight is special to me. Because we're not just here to support a good candidate. We are not just here to support a smart and capable man. We are here to support a good man. Your next MP for St. James North, Chad Blackman. But you see, my relationship with Chad goes way back. We go back to Pokemon cards and Power Rangers. We went to the best school in Barbados, Christchurch Foundation. I want to hear the noise. Don't argue with me. He was a prefect and I was a feisty first former. So understand that I saw Chad when he got his first real taste of leadership, of power. You can tell a lot about a man by how he handles leadership. Chad learned leadership and he learned about responsibility. He learned about care and compassion. He learned that with power comes the responsibility to mold, to guide. I have also been around another man when he got power. Your current leader of the opposition. It has not been the same experience. I will say only one thing. Narcissism is a serious word. He should look up the definition. He would find it familiar in his own behavior. But that's in my business. That is not why I come to you tonight. Tonight, I come in defense of Chad Blackman, a man who has defended Barbadians at home and abroad, because when you touch one, you touch all. And he is a gentle giant. So don't worry about it, Chad. I got it tonight. Because how in 2025 you could find it in your heart on a Zoom call not to talk about policy, because you know that the Barbados Labour Party has policy over policy over policy. Not to talk about character, because Chad is a good and upstanding man. No. You found the audacity to talk about Chad's weight. How dare you? As a big woman myself, I found it disgusting. Especially when every night you could got fluffy on a platform, vibrating like he about to explode. But yet, if I got at this podium and I said that your candidate is catfishing the public with the picture she got on that poster, I would be wrong. Catfishing the public, because that picture got to be 20 years too old. Google it. But you see, that's in my business. Another foolishness I hear them talk about is this hand-picking thing. Chad get hand-picked. With them in tired. By all accounts from within the Democratic Labour Party, well, wait. Well, the branch don't know she. What is left of the Democratic Labour Party say, them don't know she. And you, the people of St. James North, tell me that one don't know she. So who get handpicked? It's all right. It's all right. The Barbados Labour Party abides by its constitution. You heard it here tonight. So I think
that those who clearly have never read it, like they never learned how to read the estimates, should be quiet. But again, that ain't my reason here for tonight. That ain't my business. Because the Democratic Labour Party seems to be a stuck record. It only knows one way to carry out a campaign. Smear, smear, smear. Like children playing in mud. Chad get handpicked. Tony get handpicked. Kay get handpicked. Well, when my times comes, I hope you say I get handpicked too. But again, that ain't my business. Every week, without fail, I could trust that I was going to get a video. And it was going to be her hot and sweaty in front of some school in this country, recounting verbatim an item of news that the press would have already reported on. No ideas. She didn't offer no help. She didn't offer no solutions. Just she, hot and sweaty in front of the people's school. I think she would be better to be a reporter. I think, in fact, she should stop bothering you good people of St. James North and go up at CBC or down at the nation for a job. Because as she say, she might need one soon. You know what they say? A man shall be known by his works, and Chad will be known by his. I can speak to Chad the prefect, Chad the CARICOM youth ambassador, Chad the attorney at law, Chad the ambassador, Chad the minister, Chad the senator, and soon Chad the MP for St. James North. But what can you really say about the other side? To tell you the truth, the only thing I know about her before tonight is the 29 votes she got last time she contested an election. But you know that could never be Chad. Could never be. Because it can be Blackman, Blackman, Blackman. But again, that ain't my business. My business is your business. It's the business of St. James North and the successes of the Barbados Labour Party. We love to talk about centers of activity in Barbados. Town and warrens vying for centers of commercial activity. St. George is the center of agricultural activity. But you see, St. James, you are the center of tourism activity in this country. And as I have canvassed, I have met many of you, second, third, and fourth generation tourism professionals. Many of you have raised your families on this business. I could never forget about Grand Angan call she named. 5 children she raised. One boy is a chef at another hotel. The 2 girls at UE, because now it is free again, thanks to the Barbados Labour Party. And the last girl is coming through her training at the front desk at a different hotel. Tourism is the lifeblood of many households in this community. And when I talked to Grant, she talked about COVID. And it came up a lot in my canvassing. Because there were people who didn't know if they were going to be able to feed their families. They didn't know if they was going to be able to pay a little bill. But Grant talked about the fact that the government, this government, stood in the breach and offered help to the tourism sector to make sure that they could keep those people employed a little longer. You see, I have learned in politics that people may not always remember what you did for them. They may not remember the fancy name on the policy, but they remember how they made you feel. And in Grant's talking to me about what the government was able to do, I recognize the Barbados Employment and Sustainable Transformation Program, the best program. I recognize the loan guarantees and the relief through the Barbados Tourism Fund. I recognize the caring heart of Mia Amor Motley and this government. are long past that. In tourism, we have recovered from COVID. No, we are doing better than we were before it. We closed 2024 with 704,340 stayovers, an increase of just under 12,000 people, almost $1,000 more a month passing through this country. But we didn't just try to say, well, we can try to catch back up to where we were. No, we went innovative. We went bigger and better ideas, and they are bearing fruit. You can now find small cruise ships in Speightstown. That is not an idea out of the sky. That is planning. That is commitment. That is caring. That is understanding that you will find roadblocks in the road, but you must go over, under, or through them. That is how the Barbados government operates. That is how Barbados Labour Party operates. So don't come to me with foolishness. You see, they come to the Barbadian youth with this idea that we don't read, that we can't see, that we don't know. There is a reason why the Barbados Labour Party can mount an all-youth platform. Can the Democratic Labour Party do it? Will they give you this kind of commentary? But again, that ain't my business. My business is to talk about the 22% increase in cruise arrivals anticipated between 2025 and 2026 of this year. That is 850,000 people. That is business. That is taxi operators, some of the best tour guides I have ever known, able to pick up extra people, extra shifts. That is restaurants where waiters and servers and chefs can get long money. Because if you're holding me day and day after day after day and I work here, you got to pay me my worth. That is souvenir operators able to sell a bit more, do a bit more. That is true economic growth. That is cash in pocket to poor people in this country. So the Democratic Labour Party cannot come to fool me. And I know they can't come to fool you. But I can't leave out my favorite community tourism product. We gathering. Because an idea that brilliant we could not possibly let COVID stop it. We had to bring it back. We had to do it again. Because can you imagine the whole of Barbados descends on one parish every month? That the people in that parish are able to make $1. That you are able to come and find old friends and meet new ones. That is brilliant. That is economic strategy meeting cultural and historical awakening. What more could you want? I want you to know something. I have seen the Democratic Labour Party do some dangerous things in this country. But the most dangerous thing I have seen them do is belittle the achievements of this government. Not because they're BLP achievements, but because they are the achievements of Barbadians. You get up every day and you go to work to make a better life in this country. And for political gamesmanship, they want to spit on your achievements. No. Sorry, Ralph. Try again. They love to talk about tourism not being real dollars and cents for the people in the community. I want them to go to Western, not Western, in case she get lost in the GPS. And I want you to talk to the guys that operate on the beach. Because they will tell you that this increased tourism has allowed some of them to buy 2025 jet skis, if you please. Has allowed them to provide for their family and to grow their business. I want them to take a walk through Dougling Roads and Trents and talk to the cooks and the chefs from through there. I want them to talk to the maids and the porters in Porters and Lower Carlton. I want them to talk to the farmers in this community. Because you will see that they have been able to sell a bit more of what they cultivate, to put a little bit more in the kitty. That is what a caring government does. It works hard every day with the people who go to work every day to do better. But you know what? Let me leave them out. Let me talk about the business owners in this community. Let me talk about the shop opposite Millie's Fish Market. God rest her soul. I want you to know that every Friday that shop sells out of pork chops. And it ain't just Bajan bellies it going in, eh? I want you to take a trek down to Marcy's Bar. The only place I know of I could still get a $15 snack box. Here, shout out to Marcy. Because you will find in those places not just locals, but tourists. Tourists who come to connect with your culture. Tourists who sometimes can buy out the bar. Tourists who spend a good dollar and enjoy themselves. That is what the work in tourism has brought us. But let me talk about the middle class, because they love to talk about the middle class. The middle class in this Barbados is doing yeoman service. Because it is them that sometimes have to take on the little additional family burden. God have met what is a decent salary stretch a bit farther. I understand. But these increased numbers have allowed some of them to build on additions and have Airbnbs in their home. Have allowed them not just to increase the overall stay capacity, but to earn a fine dollar. But wait. I hear the Democratic Labour Party with a whole bunch of noise, well, $300 ain't nothing. It might not be nothing to them. It might not be nothing to them. I know Lillian gets she money. But I want them to know that for the average Barbadian, $300 can help me pay an overdue bill. $300 means that a man could take out his wife or his sweetheart. $300 means I could put down that money for the school fees for next year, the clothes, the books. $300 means I can have a good sleep in my bed, because that is one less thing I have to worry about. If they don't want the $300, send it this way, because I got bills to pay. Don't let the Democratic Labour Party fool you. This government gets up every day to make sure that you can make an extra dollar. To make sure that you could spend the money on your own help for grand. I understand. To make sure that you could spend the money on the extra lessons for the children. And I want to say a thank you to Walter Phillips in Beards Road. Your contribution to education, sir. Thank you. The Barbados Labour Party does not focus on the past. We will remind you of what we had to lift up, what we had to face. Because without context, news is lost. But we look to the future. We focus on what needs to be done. So while the other side is running about like Chicken Little, oh, the sky is falling, the US is having a problem. We're not looking at that. We are focused on economic diversification, innovation, value addition, and international competitiveness. We are dealing with the heavy work based on the Barbados Trade and Export Strategy 2019 to 2025. It's called planning, Ralph. Try it sometime. You only need to look at the work of the trust loans, the NCF Product Development Department, Export Barbados, to understand that we are doing big work with small business, small and medium. We are expanding the number of female entrepreneurs because we understand that when you empower women, you empower families. But we have not left our men to the west side. We are thinking big, but we are doing bigger things. Because we are not focused on who got power and who don't. We are not focused on locking the gates and throwing away the key. We are focused on working together for a better Barbados. And I want to see the products developed by those women and those men in the hotels in this country. And I am sure that someday that will be the only product you find in the hotels in Barbados. I am dreaming of that day. We do not cry over lost potential tourist markets. We secure bigger ones. That is why you see new flights, increased frequency of the same flights we had before. We're milking the airlines. They are working with us. Germany, the Dutch, Latin American countries, Suriname, and we must get airlift out of Africa. I know we are working on that because we remember our roots and we build that South-South partnership. These are the kinds of things the Barbados Labour Party stands for. Helping the small man. Making families do better. Making Barbadians' lives better. But nothing is perfect. And the Prime Minister says, many hands make light work. So we are an action party. We're not a wait and see party. We're not going to sit down say, oh, the sky is falling. Whatever shall we do? We get up and we make moves. So you see, when they criticize us going to the IMF, ask them, were we to sit down and wait until the dollar dropped off the cliff? Were we to sit down and wait till Millie come buy little food? Were we to wait till Barbadians could not hold our head up? Till we had to hang our heads with shame over where Barbados had come to? No. If they want to make our founding fathers roll over in their graves, that is their business down that George Street. The Barbados Labour Party is moving forward. So as I close, I want you to note that I spent this entire speech and I have not mentioned the opposition candidate's name once. What if Ralph could forget about she? Say, Tommy, I can't forget about she too. You should forget about she St. James North. Because this is about her. This is about the future of St. James North. This is about a party that is giving you its best. Chad is the best of us. Because we understand there is still heavy lifting to do in St. James North. We're not sending you somebody we drag up and drop there. We are sending you a man that would rather stand with you than dance in Geneva. We are sending you a man who picked up his life, who disrupted his child's life and his wife's life and brought them home to Barbados because he knew you deserved better than whatever the Dems were going to send you. He didn't come home because it was easy. He came home because it was necessary. He came home because he heard the call. And good work only gets more work. And the best person to ensure that St. James North gets what it needs, that the Barbados Labour Party stays true to its commitment to St. James North, is Chad. So on election day, vote for the big man with the big plan, ready for big action. On the 21st, I want to hear Chad, Chad, Chad.
Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity.
St. James North, Shanika just started a conversation that's very near and dear to my heart. And I'm sure many of you in this constituency as well, working in the hospitality industry, can attest to what I'm about to say. During the pandemic, when it was lasting first out in the tourism industry, we were comfortable knowing that we would still be able to go to the supermarket, buy food, and afford the same comfort of living that we were used to while we were working. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sure that you can remember the NIS checks was coming on time. The money was being released to our bank accounts on time. And we did not have to be about the place fighting for toilet paper and eggs. We were living like decent human beings. So that when I hear the opposition making an attack on the concessions being given to the tourism products, I know that they do not understand that they're talking about the tourism workers. We are speaking about the hotels and other accommodations. We're speaking about the restaurants, and we're speaking about the tourist attractions. So that without a product that can be improved, it is impacting our ability to make money. And we're speaking about the front desk agents, guest services, and concierge, the same taxi men that Shanika spoke about, the kitchen porters, the maintenance men, the gardeners, the water sports men, the jet ski operators, the farmers who are relying, and the retailers as well, who are relying on tourist arrivals and a product that is modern in order for them to make money. So an attack on concessions is an attack on us. And I don't think the leader of the opposition understands that. So when they're parading, talking about tourism, understand you talking about us. I just received a phone call from a taxi man that I used to work with. And he said to tell Colleen, thank you for the support during the pandemic. Thank you for the checks being released on time. Thank you for the checks coming. And more importantly, thank you to our leader, Mayor Amora Motley, for having the foresight to keep the tourism plants open. Because let me be honest, I know some people would have preferred to, receive the money and go home and relax themselves. But the money gonna run out. What are you gonna do with the money run out? And equally, after the money run out, some of us are still young and we wanted to go back in the industry. We would have wanted to know that we could go back to industry, that we did not have to rebuild from scratch. The economy is very important to our livelihood, and the stewardship has been important from 2018. Now, the next speaker that I'm going to present to you is the Member of Parliament for St. Peter, the Minister of the Social Sector, Labour, and the Third Sector, Shakim Jordan.
We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman.
Good night to the zone. I don't use Corbin Road very often. The name, I use the zone. That is what I grew up knowing out here as. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I am going to be a little bit reflective. And I'm going to be reflective because I think there are important things that we need to discuss, important things that the people in Ashton Hall, in the zone, need to hear, need to consider. But before I do that, I'm sure that you would join me in saying that the future of Barbados is in good hands. We have a crop of young people who are prepared to put in the hard work, who are prepared to research, who are prepared to see what is going on, document it, and share it with the public. I heard most of the speakers tonight, and I am happy. I am happy and proud to be part of an organization the Barbados Labour Party that allows its young people to grow, exposes them, allows them to flourish, does not stop them from coming into the headquarters, does not stop them from worshiping on a Sunday morning, but one that holds their hands and guides them. The Barbados Labour Party that a young man like Chad Blackman is a part of. That is the party. This is the party. We are the party of young people, the party of the future. I want to reflect a little bit tonight about the question of morality. And I've heard that some people who skirt morality have been attempting to lecture the folk in St. James North about morality. Now, I want to say to those who feel it appropriate to throw up barbs about morality, I want to say a few things to them. Now, many of you, and I know the people in St. James North, particularly the people in Ashton, would understand why I would want to respond to this idea that is being floated by the pressure group about morality. The suggestion that there are paragons of virtue, that they know everything about morality. Now I want to say, and I know I'm not saying this as something new, but I want to remind the people of the zone and of Ashton Hall generally that morality is not just a word. Morality is demonstrated in actions. The Barbados Labour Party, on coming to office in 2018, determined that as part of its moral responsibility, it had a duty to make sure that nobody was discriminated against when trying to find work in this country. And for the first time in the history of this country, a piece of legislation was developed, was passed in this country to ensure that I would not be denied a job because somebody feels that I'm too tall and skinny. That somebody else who look different won't be denied a job because of how they look, or because I have a scar on my face, or some frivolous kind of reason. That is what morality is about. Making sure that people are not left behind. Making sure that people are not discriminated against. The Barbados Labour Party understands it. And we are prepared, and we've demonstrated that we are prepared to put in the effort, the work, the energy to make sure that morals and ethics, that people are treated fairly, that people are treated justly in this country. That is what morality is about. It is demonstrated by this party, the Barbados Labour Party. I also want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that morality is also about making sure that the children of poor people in this country can have an education. The pressure group that is running around St. James North now, that did not run around St. James North for maybe close to 12 years, that pressure group made a decision in this country that the children of poor people were not to receive tertiary education at the University of the West Indies. That is what the pressure group did to the poor people, some of whom live in Corbin's Road in the zone, in Ashton Hall. young people in Ashton, young people across St. James North had to leave university because of that pressure group's decision. And they have the gumption is what we say in St. Peter. They have the gumption to be talking about morality as though they understand what it means. No shame, no morals, no love in their hearts for ordinary people in this country. Because when you climb up the ladder of tertiary education and then kick it down, that is an immoral act. That is an unethical act. That, if it was not Wednesday night, which is a church night for a lot of people, I would call it a nasty act. But I will probably do that tomorrow. The height of immorality to say to ordinary people in this country, your children have to go and pick pond grass because they can't get a tertiary education. But you know who can get a tertiary education? The children of rich people who can send their children to the United States, who can send their children to Canada, who can send their children to the United Kingdom. They can get through. But ordinary people cannot get through. Immoral set of people. And they are claiming to be paragons of virtue. This Barbados Labour Party, on coming to office in 2018, recognized that that pressure group had looked at the poor people of this country and cut the reverse tax credit in half. Cut the reverse tax credit in half. A group of people that say they know something about morality. Poor people who were accustomed by that time to receiving $1,800 when the year come. They cut it in half. And in some cases, they were not paying it. An immoral bunch. They're walking around St. James North today talking about morality and tying morality to money. That pressure group, by destroying young people's hopes at the tertiary level, was tying immorality to money. Because they were saying, if you don't have the money, you cannot get a tertiary education. They were tying immorality to money because they say, if you don't earn over a certain amount and you're entitled to reverse tax credit, you ain't going to get it, or you're going to only get a portion of it. They tie immorality to money. So they know a little bit about what they're speaking about. I want to say to the people of the zone and of Ashton Hall more generally that this Barbados Labour Party is not a party, and you heard it from our young people this evening. This Barbados Labour Party is not a party of rhetoric, or as the Prime Minister would say, a bag of words. This Barbados Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen, of Ashton, of the Zone, Clark's Gap, Millionaire Grays, Reservoir, and there may be some from Whitehall as well. This Barbados Labour Party, in recognizing its or responsibility to the people of this country, or moral responsibility to the people of this country, almost immediately on coming to office, recognize that the public officers of this country, and let me say something to you, there are public officers who live in the zone and public officers who have lived in the zone, up to the rank of a commissioner of police in this country has come from the zone, from this very area. But the Barbados Labour Party, on coming to office, recognized that public officers under the government of the pressure group that is talking about morality, they refuse to give public officers an increase in pay for 8 years. 8 years, no increase in pay. And all the while, prices are going up. The Barbados Labour Party, recognizing its moral responsibility, recognizing that it was a matter of morality, decided that it would give a pay increase. And, you know, as Minister of Labour, I talk a lot about collective bargaining. We agreed as a government that we would allow collective bargaining to work. So negotiations started. But so strong was our feeling on this matter. So strong was our moral grounding on this matter that we said, if the collective bargaining does not reach an agreement by X day, we are going to pay an increase. And if the collective bargaining determined that it should be a higher number, then we will add on at that point. But we believed that we had to give an increase. And we went to work and we gave that increase. We restored the reverse tax credit and we made sure that people could eat in this country. We also instituted a compensatory income credit so that people in a slightly higher bracket, even though they were not at the minimum, we said, you know, it is only fair and reasonable that those people should not bear the brunt of the adjustment that the pressure group called the Dems was inflicting on this country. And we said once the country could afford it, we would pay that compensatory income credit. Ladies and gentlemen, it was this Barbados Labour Party, recognizing its moral responsibility, recognizing its responsibility to the people of this country, particularly the people at the lower levels economically. We, in 2021, instituted for the first time in this country's history a national minimum wage. And you know, I've been pretty serious so far in this presentation because I get a little bit upset when people question my morality. But I have to smile when I recall and share with you that the Prime Minister told me the effective date for implementing the national minimum wage is April the 1st, 2021. Now, it took me a couple of seconds to realize that it was April the 1st, 2021. And that April the 1st is All Fool's Day. And I really wasn't sure what kind of problem the Prime Minister was putting me in. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to say to you that even when we promise something on April the 1st, we hold to our word. We stick to our word. And on April the 1st, 2021, for the first time in Barbados' history, there was a national minimum wage in this country. and a sectoral wage for persons working as security guards in this country. The Barbados Labour Party that Chad Blackman is a member of. The Barbados Labour Party that Chad Blackman has spent many years from his, but I almost said from his youth. He is still a young man, but from his earlier youth in, this Barbados Labour Party delivers for the people of this country because it recognizes its moral responsibility to the people of this country. The Prime Minister says almost every week, I am the leader of a Labour Party. Because this is a Labour Party. This party was formed out of the struggles of our foreparents in 1937. The struggle was in 37. The party was formed in 38. And out of the party, the union was formed in 1941. An organization that understands its moral responsibility to the working people of Barbados. This party, this Labour Party, is a party that is worthy of your support. Ladies and gentlemen, before I say a little bit about Chad, I want to speak to something that has been a bugbear for Corbin's Road, for the zone, for a long time. The road in the zone has been bad for a long time. And some of you may be wondering why I would raise this here this evening. But I have a particular problem with the pressure group. I want the people of the zone to remember that it was the Democratic Labour Party in office. It was the Democratic Labour Party in office that when the Barbados Labour Party raised the issue of roads, raised the fact that people's vehicles were being destroyed, that people had to walk, women particularly, walk into church on Sunday mornings with 2 pairs of shoes or putting plastic bags on their shoes, including people in the zone going to the Pentecost church around the corner. It was the Democratic Labour Party in office that said to this country, without any shame, without any compunction, without any reference to morality, they said to us, they said to the people in the zone, potholes save lives. And I want you to remember that. We were asking for relief for the people, including the people in the zone. They were busy, rather than fixing the roads, saying to us, potholes save lives. I want to say to the people in the zone particularly, the Barbados Labour Party has heard your pleas, has heard the pleas of people across this country with respect to roads. We have started the program of repairing roads, repaving roads, fixing potholes in this country. I want to remind us, the Dems left nothing in the kitty. The Dems left nothing in the kitty. When we came to office, I'm not saying that they thief it out. A lot of people feel so. I can't say so because I didn't see when they're jerking their hands. I heard people talk about it, but I am not saying so. A lot of people call them crooks and that kind of thing. I am not getting into that. This is Wednesday night, and I'm talking about morality. I spoke a little bit about immorality. That might be part of it. the Barbados Labour Party faced a situation that no country on earth likes to be in. The inability to pay debt. The people in Corbins Road in the zone will tell you that if they have to suck salt, they will rather make sure that courts get paid. There are people in the zone who would have gotten lumber from lumber company. Some of the older ones in the zone got stuff from Mannings and plantations when they existed in Spike Sound. And they will tell you that come hell or high water, they pay their debt. The dams left an empty kitty, nothing in the treasury, and they left bills to pay. We had to do something that no country likes to do. We had to default on our debt. We had to say to our creditors, we cannot pay, but we will enter into an arrangement. But ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you that such was the confidence of the international community in this Barbados Labour Party government that in less than 4 hours after we made the announcement, the head, the big boss at the International Monetary Fund posted on the website a statement of support for Barbados. Such was the confidence. But I say to the people in Corbins Road that we then had to dig ourselves out of a hole. And we've been doing that. It's been complicated by COVID, but we've had to dig ourselves out of a hole. We've started the road program, and we will continue to do that. Corbins Road will not be left behind. Graves Road will not be left behind. Reservoir Road will not be left behind. We have done Millionaire Road. We have done Clark's Gap, Clark's Road. This Barbados Labour Party recognizes its moral responsibility and will work on your behalf. This is the party that Chad Blackman is a member of. This is a party that embraces young people like Chad Blackman. This is a party that asked Chad Blackman at the age of 35 to go to Geneva, the place where they got all kinds of international organizations, some that I didn't even hear about before. All kinds of international organizations. This Barbados Labour Party asked young Chad Blackman to go to Geneva and to take on a job that was normally done by people who were almost twice his age. Many of the ambassadors before him were in their 60s, late 50s. This Barbados Labour Party asked a 35-year-old, recognizing the potential in the man, recognizing that we've always been a party that pushes our young people. And we asked Chad to do a big job. I had the opportunity, the privilege, to work with Chad because I go to the International Labour Organization for a couple of weeks every year. Barbados is a member of the governing body, so we have to go to help to lead. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen of the zone and of Ashton Hall, that I've witnessed a young man commanding the attention of ambassadors and leaders, all kinds of people. A young man whose intelligence is recognized. A young man whose humility is recognized. A young man whose diligence is recognized. A young man whose dependability is recognized. A young man whose maturity is recognized internationally. This is the man that we are asking you in Ashton Hall to support. This is the man who I have seen with my eyes, who have heard with my ears, who have seen in action, a man who I can say this Wednesday night in the zone is a man who will provide the kind of representation in the House of Assembly that the zone deserves, that Ashton Hall deserves, that St. James North deserves. I am asking you on the 21st of May, I am asking you on the 21st of May to get up, to go out, and to place your X for Chad Blackman. A man who has a big vision for St. James North, a big vision for Ashton Hall, a big vision for Barbados, a big vision for education, a man who is committed to the people, a man who is humble even though he has walked with all kinds of people. Chad Blackman is a man who is mature beyond his years, a man who is experienced beyond his years, a man in whom I have confidence will represent St. James North, including this part of St. Peter that is in St. James North. Ladies and gentlemen, vote for Chad Blackman. Vote for the Barbados Labour Party. Vote for a representative who will do justice, a man who will make you proud, a man who when you see, when you interact, you will know that you have a good man, a man of vision, a man who will do well by the people of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the big man, Chad Blackman.
Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. Committed, hardworking, dedicated. We going big with Chad Blackman. We going big with Chad. 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 Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. You got no Chad Blackman is ready. I'm with a whole lot of knowledge. Bright and so innovative. For all the St. James North massive. A great representative. Big man, big heart, big action.
Good night, Ashton Hall. Good night to you. I am very happy to be here amongst you this evening, amongst love, family, friends. I love you too. But before we start, and before they go off the stage, let me thank from the bottom of my heart the League of Young Socialists of the Barbados Labour Party. The young men and women that you see standing behind me, and of course, Colin, I thank you too. And of course, you're a young man. You're a young man, of course. But the young men and women that you see standing here behind me is just but a small piece of the vibrancy and youth and talent in this great party started by Grantley Adams. And what you've heard tonight signals to you where this party continues to take this great nation called Barbados. And I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. Why? Because this is where I started at the age of 18. This party nurtures young people, gives them opportunity at a very young age. And we want to commit to the country that this is where we will continue to grow. Because when you give young people opportunities, they grow, they learn, and they have the capacity to deliver even more. And I thank all of you from my heart tonight. Watch the faces, mark the names, and stay tuned. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you. And if the driver of E2776 can move your vehicle, that would be very grateful. E2776. Ladies and gentlemen, this campaign has been won on this platform mounted by the Barbados Labour Party, and tonight, mounted by the youth arm of this party, has been and continues to be a platform where you've heard not slander or gossip or attacks, but one of vision, purpose, policies, and clarity. And I also want to ensure tonight that we can deal with a number of issues. And tonight the big man come to deal with a lot of issues too. And I'm therefore going to ensure that as you leave here, you can understand where I and Team BLP want to take the good people of Ashton Hall and St. James North. It's not by accident that we've had this meeting here tonight, launched by the youth arm of the party, because Ashton Hall, even though it is a community rich with elders with lots of ideas and visions from years past, having canvassed this constituency and in particular this neighborhood over the last year, you get to realize that there is a high number of young people in Ashton Hall. And who better to communicate with the young people and also bridging with those in the older aspects of the society than our young people. And to the young people of Ashton Hall, I want to commit this presentation and speech to you this evening. As a young man, this community, you've always heard about Ashton Hall. A community, of course, yes, in the constituency of St. James North, but in the parish of St. Peter. And many of the older persons, as recent as this evening, reminded me, and they said, Chad, your grandfather, the last place he lived was out here, right out there, so. Yes, you know, how are you, my brother? You and my grandfather used to have good discussions many times before. And they said, Chad, your grandfather, when he was the MP in this area, and of course you just heard the Member of Parliament for St. Peter, this constituency always had a legacy of ensuring that they can do the best for its people, particularly the young people. They reminded me that this constituency had great footballers, cricketers, netballers, persons who went on and further afield, honed their craft. And it is therefore one of the reasons why I am happy that this evening our young people started this meeting with the vision and clarity of which they did. Part of my mandate to you and commitment to you is to ensure that as I come to you, I bring my background of humility, starting where these young people started. Speaking on platforms, going house to house, rolling up their sleeves and saying to you, this is the message of hope and prosperity for you in this country. This party is a party that has committed itself to ensuring that once you open their door for a young person, they don't only bring themselves and those around them, but they bring a wider community to ensure that they can create opportunities for everybody. That is the Barbados Labour Party way. The second aspect I want to touch on is the creation of opportunities for our people. You've heard many times, particularly in this campaign, and you're going to see a level of vibrancy even more in the last 6 to 7 days of this campaign. This is also about ensuring that people can now move their ideas into reality. There are a number of persons in this community who have said, we have brilliant ideas, Chad, but we just want somebody who can open the door for us. If you open that door for us, watch us, we can take off. And I say to you this evening, I am the person that will and have already started to do so, because why? You listen and you implement. You listen, you implement. Public policy and public life is about making sure that if a person wants to increase the size of their homegrown business, they have someone to do so with them. They have the necessary tools to be able to do so. So persons who out here have said, and across the constituency, that they are steeped in agriculture. And let it be clear, this Barbados Labour Party has placed significant priority on agricultural development. And this community is rich with persons who are in agriculture, and the agricultural initiative that we're about to start through the cooperative, which I've said before, is going to transform this community in a way that we've never seen before. Why is that important? Food security cannot be played with. We only need to look back at the COVID days when the world was on lockdown, and we had to ensure that people had food in their houses. The world as we know it continues to change at a rapid pace. And then, therefore, we have to now ensure that local communities have the ability and capacity not just to provide for their families and their immediate communities, but that we can also help Barbados to become food secure. Why? It only takes, Lord forbid, a hurricane or a natural disaster or a major external shock for us to be cut off from the rest of the world. We import the most of our food, but it is within the capacity of St. James North, the farmers who are in poultry, who are raising cattle, who are raising pork, you name it, vegetables and fruits, to be able to now have that leg up through the cooperative that you can now ensure that agriculture is the mainstay of the north of Barbados. And I am working, therefore, with you, and you're going to be seeing it roll out very, very soon, that you're going to have a farmer's market where you can now not just produce, but sell your goods to the residents of St. James North and those around the country who want to do so. So I am not coming to you with just a vague idea. We've already started to put things in motion. We cannot, therefore, talk about food security without looking at the aspect of ensuring that we have a healthy lifestyle. Now, so far on this campaign, the Democratic Labour Party has seen it fit to come at the big man. The lady running against me representing the Democratic Labour Party, day in, day out, and her platform continues to come after me based on my size. But it tells you that they are afraid of the big man. If I was no threat, they wouldn't come after me. But I want to say this. The initiative that I've said, and I've made myself vulnerable, not just to St. James North, but to the country, that I want to use myself as an example based on the fact that up to this point, and thank God, I don't have any non-communicable diseases, but as we all know, prevention is what? Better than cure. And I've made myself available and says, look, let us create a constituency that is healthy and vibrancy through ensuring that we have walks, we have activities that can create a healthy lifestyle, but you have to balance it also with accessible food that is accessible at a reasonable cost. So the agricultural initiative is not divorced from a healthy lifestyle. But equally, whilst they're attacking me, you know what it says sometimes, what was meant for good, what was meant for evil, turns out for good. I want to go on record, and those of you watching online and across the country, thank you from my heart about the messages of encouragement and support that you've given me over the last week since I announced my change of lifestyle in coming to you and saying I am going to transform my health. Because why? We have to start where we talk. Leadership from in front. And the irony is, or perhaps it was expected, persons have said, Chad, the more they insult you, the more our mind is made up to ensure that you are the member of parliament come May 21st. The Democratic Labour Party has not learned from 2018 and 2022. It is almost in the DNA of the Democratic Labour Party. Cuss the BLP, cuss the BLP, cuss women, cuss everybody. You had a situation where I'm told that the lady running against me from the DLP has said that she's not talking about my weight, but she's going to talk about my integrity and those I associate myself with. I come to you as a proud Barbadian young man, born to humble origins. The parents who, when they want to let go a few words, they say, Chad, God will get vexed with you. So tonight I ain't going to let go a few words. What I will say is this. If you want to judge me by the association of the people in Ashton who love Chad Blackman and who nurture me and send praise for me, then I stand accused. If you want to judge me by the association of young persons who aspire to be not just farmers, but business owners and owners of their fate and destiny, then I stand accused. If you want to judge me by the association of young men who through no fault of their own sometimes are marginalized, but I say, fellas, where y'all? Put up your hands right there. I with you, respect you. Then I stand guilty. If you want to judge me by the fact that every Sunday for the last year I've been in church on Sunday, whether it be the 7:30 service or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock service, and people continue to say, Chad, go before God, serve with humility, then I stand guilty. But the candidate for the Democratic Labour Party stands on a platform where the executive and a member of the executive has done a lot of foolishness that they had to pay for, not in this country but abroad. She stands in a party and by association that took away the ability for ordinary persons in Clark's Gap and Reservoir Road when they wanted to go to University of the West Indies, they could not do so because the Democratic Labour Party took that ability away. And you want to lecture me. Felicia DeJohn, I say this to you. Humble yourself. Humble yourself. Because I'm telling you, I've been quiet hitherto in this campaign. But as of now, every breath, you've now re-energized me in a way that I cannot put to you in words. Because why? God has called me to serve my country, to serve the people of St. James North. And because God has called me, the branch has asked for me to come. The National Council has ratified me in public, not behind any closed doors. And I want to use the occasion to say, Tobias, I understand very well, Tobias Rural, who was supposed to represent the Democratic Labour Party over here. Tobias, I am sorry for how your party treated you. But how can I be surprised when they treat the women of their party the same way? Remember last year at the annual conference of the Democratic Labour Party, they want to talk about morality? Let me go. How can you talk about morality, Ralph Thorne, when you and your party shut out people who were there long before you were even considered to be a member? At a church service, the place where God convenes with the saints, and you forbid them entry. I don't want to be near you on Judgment Day. Be not deceived, for God is not mocked. For whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. I come to play tonight, you know. You have a situation where on the floor of their annual conference, talk about morality, talk what you like in Parliament, in Senate, Tricia Watson and I, and Gregory and all of us, Charles Morris, we had good debates. That's the nature of politics. But she never ever insulted any of us. And Ralph Thorne, on the floor of his annual conference, fired a young woman without giving her due. And you want to talk about morality? No. What would Jesus do? I know Jesus would not use the words of being a cubba. But if he were a mere mortal man, perhaps he would. Why am I saying this? Those who come to equity must come with clean hands. And the time for the Democratic Labour Party to stop talking about morality and trying to lecture this party A party that has, and God bless me, among the prime minister, the first prime minister to have advisors, spiritual advisors to cabinet. What are you telling me? What are you telling me? When every first Thursday in the month, before we set out to do the business of the people, the advisors talk to us, they pray for us, they allow us to vent, and we get the blessings of God before we do the business of the people for the rest of the month. And you have a man who left this party, and because he ain't get what he want, he gone across there, causing problems. I can't say that on his thing, but I agree with you. You have a situation where they play with the notion of God. Let's reflect. 2018, 2022. The Democratic Labour Party playbook, they have a gospel concert to open their campaign. True? Good. And before the last gospel note can hit, they're cussing you. So they're trying to invoke God. They're invoking Lucifer at the same time. No wonder why they keep getting beat. Because God says, do not play with me. The word to the wise is enough. But yet, they want to now come and lecture the Labour Party. A party that continues. You know what's so ironic about this? They talk about they love St. James North. We had our party's anniversary just a month ago or so. And we held our party's anniversary church service in the constituency of St. James North. Can you imagine? They decided it was somehow fit to take their annual conference church service, their anniversary service, in St. Michael at the time when this by-election is going on. To talk to who? But I understand what is going on there. They know that they can't come with any good authority in St. James North and talk about God. Do not play with God. When you look at where this country is going, and I want to touch briefly on leadership and leadership mattering, being important. I remember when I first went to Geneva as ambassador, for the first week or two that I was there, the international community didn't warm up to me. It wasn't that they didn't warm up to Chad Blackman, but they didn't warm up to me in the context of the country because he represents the state. And I wondered why people were so lukewarm for those first 2 weeks. After you go to cocktails and you listen to the corridor chat, I got to realize, and they said, it's only now after 2 weeks or so that we realized that what you're saying is a little different to what your predecessor was saying. And I thought, okay. You know what it was? They had become so accustomed to wishy-washy foolishness for 10 years. Those persons were representing you for 10 years, talking foolishness, that they then realized this administration, this Barbados Labour Party-led government is a government that cares and understands the rudiments of international diplomacy. Why is that important? All of the things that we have to do as a country affect us from the international space coming in domestically. And if you ever wanted a sign that God is with us, thank you, God, for your showers of blessing. And you have a situation where now, the same party that caused the destruction of this country between 2008 and 2018, now after 6-7 years, all of a sudden, now want to come to you and make you believe that they are ready to do what? They've not changed. They've not apologized. They've not restored any trust in you. But they don't want to come to say to you, give them a vote. No! And I say this to you humbly. We have to ensure that our future and the future of Ashton Hall and St. James North and the north of Barbados and Barbados entirely is secure in the hands of a government that cares about its people. Even when the times are tough, this government has not shied away from leadership. This government has not shied away from making tough decisions, but we all see the benefits. The other aspect of what I want to say to you is the importance of young people getting involved in business. A lot of young persons across the constituency have a lot of ideas, but they want to have a situation where those ideas and businesses can now go into a single portal and directory, so that those in the tourism industry or further afield in the business sector can now tap into their skill set. And it is therefore why we've envisioned and we are creating what is now going to be called The Plug, a network for young entrepreneurs so that we can all access their businesses and therefore buy their goods and services. This is the sort of transformation that I want to bring at the local and community level in the constituency of St. James North. This is not a play thing. And I approach this campaign with a level of humility. Why? You don't take people for granted. And it is why every day our team and I are going house to house, morning, noon, and night, engaging and re-engaging with people because we have to ensure that we hear everyone and what they want to see in their constituency. And when you look at the fact that this country has been transformed and continues to progress, notwithstanding that we're in an IMF program before as a result of the Democratic Labour Party's economic mismanagement, but we were able to still buy the buses, the garbage trucks, ensure that we can still restore the ability for persons to pay their fees at UE by the government. All of these things we were able to do. But yet, for 10 years, they lick out the money, nothing to show, and now want to come back and lecture you? No, cannot work. It simply cannot work. And I therefore want to make it very clear. I am not going to have a situation where a party and a candidate who, by association and endorsement, stands with her leader as he will go down in the history of Barbados' politics as the man who has carved up and destroyed Barrow's party. A man who does not care about the ordinary. And I want to talk about being comfortable in my skin. They call me the big man, but let me tell you something. I am big, bold, beautiful, all these things. BLP, big man, Bajan. You understand? All the B's. And when you trouble one B, you know when you go to a beehive, you trouble one B, you trouble all. I want to say to you all tonight, when you trouble a queen, you trouble the whole hive. And I, along with all of my colleagues, stand behind our Queen Bee, Mia Motley. Why? She was called for a time as this. And when you go to the polls next week, it isn't just voting for Chad. It is voting for continued leadership and voting for a leader that God has ordained for a time as this. And you want to know, you want to talk about morality, you want to know the difference. And you know by the proof of the pudding, as they say. You will know them by their fruits. From the time Ralph Thorne left the Barbados Labour Party and went to the Democratic Labour Party, confusion after confusion after confusion after confusion. God is not the author of what? I will repeat it again. Ralph Thorne, listen. God is not the author of confusion. God will not send you into the Democratic Labour Party to block people from coming into church. Not the God of the Bible. And if you want to talk about the comfort in my skin, I am comfortable as a big man. Yes, I can lose a few pounds, look a little more, you know. That's fine. But we are a republic. I want to discuss this briefly with you. We are a republic. What does it mean? We are no longer under the monarchy in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And those in the legal profession, you would have heard someone, you rise to the highest level of the profession. You call it attaining silk. So you would have heard persons become either a Queen's Counsel when the Queen was the head, or a King's Counsel, now that you have a king in England. Since we've become a republic, those, and it's a choice, you can't force nobody, but as I said, you speak to your comfort level and who you are. In one breath, you have the leader of the opposition trying to purport that he's a proud Pan-Africanist. But yet, we are no longer under any way, shape, or form Great Britain. We have strong ties, and long may it be so. But as a republic, I would have thought that as a child of independence, that he would want to be a senior counsel. But yet he cloaks himself in Great Britannia and wants to now lecture people and act as if he is somehow different. When you see me driving through St. James North, you don't see me driving with my windows up. A couple of weeks ago, I'm told, I wasn't there, that they were driving around. Somebody stopped and asked them for a little, $10 to buy something. They said, no, get away. How dare you? But yet you want to be elected. It is arrogance. And the good book tells you, humble yourself, and I will exalt you. But if you exalt yourself, I will humble you. And those two humbles are not the same. What is the point that I'm making here this evening, Ashton Hall? Is that I come to you as an ordinary Bajan. Yes, I've done a lot of things in life, but it came through hard work, dedication, a commitment to people, understanding the plight of people, also realizing that in order for this country to be competitive, that we have to take our ingredients that God has given us and do things in a way that we've not done before. Not saying you throw out the baby with the bathwater, but you take the good from what we've done before, and you take the good of modernization and you merge it together. Because why? This country requires of us as a small island state to go where we've never gone before and dare to be different with the confidence knowing that as a Barbadian, I have a history of greatness. This is a great nation. The North is a great part of Barbados. St. James North produces a phenomenal set of talent, wisdom with our elderly. And we now have to ensure that we can go long down the road in ensuring that our people can prosper, have opportunities, and to live a peaceful and prosperous life. And this Labour Party, started by Grantley Adams all the way up to the Queen Bee, has shown you that every time we're in office, the people of this country advance collectively and in the interest of all. And I want to say to you, as I put myself forward to you as your candidate, and by this time next week, the election is over. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., you go to the polls. You place your X squarely within the box. Don't let it touch. But once that is done at 6 p.m., and we wait for the votes to come in, I want, with God's help and your vote, to be your member of Parliament for St. James North, which is going to start a long journey of representation for you, for your unborn children, generations to come. And I commit to you that if you give me that vote, I will do my utmost best to ensure that you are not disappointed. Ashton Hall, I love you. Labour Party, I love you. Barbados, I love you. Good night. God bless you all.